Welcome to the program, everyone. My name is Brian Craig. This is where MAGA comes to talk. Welcome, one and all. We got a lot to cover on the program today. I'm going to start with Trump and Greenland. We're going to talk about Iran, this massive story that came out about J.D. Vance from James O'Keefe yesterday. We're going to go through all that and a whole bunch more. Plus, take your calls, all right? And if you'd like to call in, the number is toll-free, and it's pinned in the live chat. But this is, what's going on right now is amazing. The president is taking Greenland, and he is freeing Iran. And also Greenland will be free. So we'll talk about what all that means. And when it comes to Greenland and the United States in some way, shape, or form taking possession of it, it's not even a debate anymore. It's not if, it's when and how Trump is going to do it. Is he going to buy it from Denmark? Is he going to have them vote, the people of Greenland? Are we just going to take it and say, hey, it's in North America, the Monroe Doctrine, you can't have it, Denmark? That's the only question. So there's a bit of a conflict going on right now between the president and the leader of Denmark, who's and we're going to break all this down, talk about the hypocrisy of the left on this, and much, much more. The radio show will be starting in about 30 seconds, and we'll jump right into it. And I'll start by sharing the audio of the president yesterday on the tarmac. I love the tarmac and Air Force One press moments. Those are the best. All right, we've got about 15 seconds, so stand by. If you want to call in, the number is 888-465-2631. All right, here we go. Welcome to the program, everyone. My name is Brian Craig. You are listening to Florida's longest-running radio show, The Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977, celebrating 49 years on the radio. Well, we have so much to talk about today, and just give you a quick rundown of some of the top stories that I'm going to cover. We're going to talk about Trump and Greenland because there's been some big developments with that. Of course, we're going to cover what's going on in Iran. And there was a massive story that I'm going to get into after the first break involving J.D. Vance. And it's a frightening story that we're going to get into after the first break. But first, I want to get into the president and Greenland because some comments were made. And at this point, this is what Denmark and NATO, by the way, when they say NATO is against President Trump, we are NATO. Without the United States, there is no NATO. Most of the NATO nations have no army or navy to speak of, or air force. They have small little armies, tiny little navies, few planes here and there. They've been leaning on the United States since NATO was established, and it's gotten worse over the years. So when they say they're going to there's no NATO without the United States, okay? So don't worry about that. NATO will be fine because that's us. But all this debate, what Denmark says, what the leader of Greenland says, what NATO says, all this stuff. Someone from France said something the other day. None of it means a thing. None of it means a thing. And exactly. Yeah, they think it does. The question is no longer if Greenland is going to be taken by the United States. It's just a matter of when and how President Trump is going to do it. Is he going to take it to a vote of the people of Greenland? Are we going to buy it from Denmark? Or are we just going to say, hey, the Monroe Doctrine, Greenland's part of North America. The Monroe Doctrine says no foreign influence in the Western Hemisphere. Greenland's the Western Hemisphere. You're out, Denmark. We don't know what form it will take, how it will happen, but it's going to happen. So this is the president yesterday, President Trump, our favorite president, on the tarmac, talking. He was asked about Greenland because the leader of Greenland said he wants to stay with Denmark.
On Greenland, sir, the premier of Greenland said today, we prefer to stay with Denmark. Do you see that as the final word? Who said that? The premier of Greenland.
Well, that's their problem. That's their problem. I disagree with him. I don't know who he is, don't know anything about him, but that's going to be a big problem for him.
That's going to be a big problem for him. Okay. So this is, I love the liberals on this. The hypocrisy of the left. This whole situation with Greenland is one of the biggest hypocrisies I've ever seen from the left. And that's saying a lot because they're hypocrites on most everything. So who's this premier? I don't know anything about him, but who's he beholden to? How do you become the premier of Greenland? You're in bed with Denmark, right? So the left are saying, Greenland for Denmark, Greenland for Denmark. How dare we take Greenland for Denmark? The liberals tell us that the United States is an illegitimate country, that we have no, even these are American liberals, they say we have no right to have a nation in the United States because we're colonialist. The United States is a colonialist nation. It's an illegal nation. It should be given back to the Native American Indians. They also are even white liberals are very anti-white. I saw this white liberal loon in Minneapolis over the weekend who was in tears. She was at the site where the incident happened with Renee Good and the ICE officer. She was in tears. Did any of you see this video? And she was talking to this reporter interviewing her saying, you know, I don't even know if I should be crying because she was white. You know, like white people shouldn't mourn the death of white people because there's too many white people. White people are the problem. And she was acting as if almost it was good news that there was one less white person. Did you guys see this? A white woman. So white liberals tell us that they're against colonialists. The United States is not a legitimate country because of colonialism, and they hate white people. You go to what's going on in Greenland. First of all, Greenland's a colony of Denmark. So since when are you liberals out there siding with the colonist of Denmark? You're siding with a European colonist in regards to Greenland. What the left are saying is this: colonists have rights. How dare you take Greenland away from the colonial power Denmark? Have you thought about that? You Democrats, you liberals out there? Have you? They stand for nothing other than their hatred of Trump. So the only thing they're consistent about is their consistent hatred of him. And here's the other thing. They hate white people. They don't even want to cry over a white person who died, who was one of them, Renee Good. It doesn't get whiter than the people of Denmark. In fact, the people of Denmark are whiter than me because I live in Florida and I get a little sun. Just driving in my car, you get a little tan. So the left who say, Greenland for Denmark, okay? You're standing up for colonialist rights in 2026, and you're also standing up for white colonialist rights over Native Inuit people in Greenland. So you liberals out there, do you listen to yourself at all? But I love the president's answer.
On Greenland, sir, the premier of Greenland said today, we prefer to stay with Denmark. Do you see that as the final word? Who said that? The premier of Greenland.
Well, that's their problem. That's their problem. I disagree with him. I don't know who he is, don't know anything about him, but that's going to be a big problem for him.
Yeah. So do you agree with me that it's already been decided President Trump is taking Greenland? It's just a matter of when and how. No doubt about it. And it has to be done. You know, the reason that we've had relative peace and not a third world war over the decades, even during the hottest times in the Cold War, when you had Korea, Vietnam, Cuba Missile Crisis, all these things going on, is because of the United States. Taking Greenland, making it a part of the United States in some way, shape, or form, whatever that would be, I like the idea of a territory like Puerto Rico, Virgin Islands, Guam, that kind of thing, America, Samoa, you know, those kind of things. Those people all seem happy, right? Well, every once in a while, Puerto Rican nationalists get crazy. But for the most part, they're very happy. That's what I would like to see. And think about the stability that it'll bring to the world. Really. I mean, it would bring a level of stability to the world, because if that's U.S. soil, the Russians and the Chinese will not touch it. They're just not going to touch it. And it's not just its strategic importance, because people say, well, you have an agreement. You can send your Army, your Air Force, your Navy. You can do whatever you want there. Yeah, but it's not U.S. soil. And once Greenland is U.S. soil or U.S. ice or U.S. snow, whatever it is you call it over there, that's when they'll lay off of it. That's when they'll be worried. Like right now, there's all this worry about Putin, you know, advancing into other nations in Europe beyond Ukraine. Well, yeah, they're not American. He's not afraid of Poland, right? But the United States, that's another story. So I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. The number is toll-free, no matter where you are listening, 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. After the break, there was a big story with J.D. Vance yesterday, a massive story, and it's getting very little press coverage. And I'm going to get into that after the break. This scared the living daylights out of me, and I'm sure J.D. Vance as well. And I bet you President Trump and J.D. Vance are fuming over this story. We'll get to that after the break and a whole bunch more. If you're on hold, stand by. It is tax season. Have any of you been getting your tax forms in the mail yet? Yeah, they're coming. The entire tax code is changed this year because of the big, beautiful bill. Scott Bessent, the Secretary of Treasury, has said that Americans are going to get the biggest tax breaks they've ever gotten. Many of you have not had tax deductions really before, other than those basic ones like a dependent or something, but you will now. You want to call Jamie Levac over at Swift Tax. He knows the new tax code and the big, beautiful bill inside out, frontwards, backwards, upside down, and every way you can do it, okay? He's very good. He's Steve Kane's accountant. I met with him a day before yesterday. He knows his stuff. Give him a call. This number rings directly to Jamie Levac's cell phone. You could call or text. He can help you with your taxes no matter where you are in the United States. If you're in a state that has state income taxes, he'll take care of you with that too, or your city taxes. Or if you're a business owner, with your bookkeeping, he'll help you with that and do your business taxes. If you're in the gig economy, Uber, Lyft, those kind of things, DoorDash, you need Jamie Levac at Swift Tax. He not only can make sure that you get all the deductions you're allowed to and entitled to, and get the largest deduction you're entitled to, he knows what deductions you can get. So give him a call, 954-773-1587, 954-773-1587. That's 954-773-1587. We'll be right back. All right, we're clear. Now, if you're on hold, stand by. I'm going to take the calls after the break. But give me and I'd like to hear you guys on the phone. If you've never called before, give me a call. Or if you haven't called in a while, give me a call too. You can let me know in the chat, but call me on the air. The number's pinned in the live chat. And let me know, is it a done deal that Greenland's going to become part of the United States in one form or another? Do you agree with me on that it's already been decided by President Trump and he is going to make it happen? What are your thoughts on that? Yes or no? Would be, I guess, in the chat or in the comments. I think he has decided, and it is going to happen. And when we get back, I am going to go to the phones. I'm just waiting for Mike to tell us what time we are going to be back. I have a lot to cover today, so please try to stay on topic. Okay, I got to get to this here. I'm running a little bit behind today. That. Okay. All right. We'll be back shortly. Yeah. I think the president sounds pretty firm, and you can hear at the end.
On Greenland, sir, the premier of Greenland said today, we prefer to stay with Denmark. Do you see that as the final word? Who said that? The premier of Greenland.
Well, that's their problem. That's their problem. I disagree with him. I don't know who he is. Don't know anything about him. But that's going to be a big problem for him.
You know, that's when he says that's going to be a big problem for him. That's something, isn't it? I mean, that's some pretty strong language. It's almost like scolding a child when you say it that way, isn't it? I mean, he's like very firm. There's no wiggle room. He's not like, oh, well, we're going to meet. You know, Marco's going to talk. We're going to see what we can work out. I mean, he's saying it pretty firm.
On Greenland, sir, the premier of Greenland said today, we prefer to stay with Denmark. Do you see that as the final word? Who said that? The premier of Greenland.
Well, that's their problem. That's their problem. I disagree with him. I don't know who he is. Don't know anything about him. But that's going to be a big problem for him.
Going to be a big problem for him. That's almost like a father talking about his delinquent teenage son that he just found out is flunking out of high school or something. You know what I mean? He's been skipping school. It's you know, and how he said, never heard of him. I don't know anything about him. I don't know who he is. That's also just totally telling us it doesn't matter what he thinks. He's not a player. So this premier of Greenland who thinks he's Trump's equal is sadly mistaken. Okay, we're going to be back in just a few seconds here. Hold on. We are back. Oh, boy, that was a quick one. All right, I'm Brian. You're listening to The Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. I'm going to take some calls. I've got a lot to cover today. So if I go at a faster pace than normal early on, there's just a bunch of stuff that I want to get out there. But I'll take a call or two, and if you'd like to call in, the number's toll-free, 888-465-2631. It's toll-free no matter where you're listening, 888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Brian. Doc from Texas.
Hey, Texas.
Hey, man. How are you this morning?
I'm well. How are you?
Okay. I'm good. Hey, look, I just got really one thing to tell you, to discuss with you this morning. I know you heard, because it's been all over in the news and social media, about the guy that was suspended, the one that called Trump the name yesterday.
Yeah, I'm going to get into that. That's one of the stories I'm going to get to. The guy from the Ford plant, and Trump gave him the finger. Yeah.
Yep. So what I want to say about this is, how thin-skinned can Trump be to where he can't handle somebody calling him a name?
Well,
and he has to get the guys.
You know, I met President Clinton once. What do you think? What do you think? And you know me, I'm no Clinton fan. He's a Democrat. What do you think I called him when I met him?
I can't say the name on the radio.
Well, you'd be wrong. I called him Mr. President.
Okay.
I called him Mr. President. So
okay.
why do you think I called President Clinton Mr. President as opposed to
out of respect,
what you thought?
Out of respect.
Well, it's respect for the presidency of the United States. It's respect for our country. And it was also pretty cool to be able to call a president Mr. President. I've called,
Brian,
if someone is within earshot of the president of the United States and they call them vile names, it's disrespectful not just to the man, to the presidency, but disrespectful to this great country.
But the problem is, Brian, he is the president of the United States. He should be thick-skinned to where anybody can call me anything as long as you don't put your hands on me, which we all grew up.
Well, then why can the guy that called him the P, why can't Trump tell him to go F himself like he did and give him the finger?
He can.
Well, then what are you griping about? What are you griping about? I don't get it.
What I'm griping about is the guy got suspended from his job. That's what I'm griping about.
Well, it was a work-related incident, okay? Hold on a second. If you're at work, excuse me. You don't. It is America, and what does that mean? That you can speak however you want at work?
He can say it, Brian. You know what, Brian? Again, he got suspended, and
okay,
I'm sure he's a union worker.
No. When you're at work, I don't know. When you're at work,
he's a union worker.
When you're at work, and your boss brings important people that they're trying to impress and make deals with for the company and give them a tour of work, it's okay to yell the P word or profanities at them? You think that an employer, excuse me, I'm not done with my question. You think an employer,
excuse me. Go ahead.
Get your own thing. Don't try to copy me. You think that when you're an employee and the boss brings people on a tour of the business, that you should be allowed to yell profanities at the person and not face discipline?
Be honest with you, if my boss brings somebody in too, that I don't even want to be around them, because that's y'all. Y'all do
that's
y'all.
That's y'all.
I don't even,
you can't yell profanities at people that your boss is bringing to your work, trying to impress,
Brian,
to make deals with.
Again, Brian, he's the president of the United States. He got to be more thin-skinned.
He didn't suspend the guy. Ford did.
Yes, he did. I guarantee you. Guarantee you.
Ford did.
From that White House.
Ford did. He embarrassed. He embarrassed Ford. Not only did he embarrass Ford, he embarrassed the executives that were taking the president on the tour. Come on, you don't really mean this.
And I'm sure they may suspend him, but I'm sure it's like, well, I'm a union worker, and I'm sure the union gonna say, no, you can't do that. Go ahead and give him his back pay and go ahead and put him back there. That's all I'm gonna say on that subject. And you have a good day. Okay.
All right. I mean, I think during that conversation, he had a realization that the position he was taking was bizarre, don't you? You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian, it's Ben from Pompano. How you doing?
Hey, Ben, what's up?
I was going to talk about Greenland, but man, that Dot from Texas, he's so dumb. He's just
yes.
If you're trying to showcase the President of the United States, new facilities, you want to be on good standing with him, and then you want there to be an audience of all your employees there, as one does, and you think I can't believe he was suspended.
The suspension very well could lead to his firing, right? I know, and the president could be his suspension could lead to his termination, and the president could be doing a multi-billion-dollar deal with Ford. You know, you can't do what that guy did.
That's insane. You couldn't even do that. Not even the president of the United States. If it was just like a fellow, like an investor, or like, but the president of the United States, he should have been fired right on the spot. It's so embarrassing. I don't know what this dude. He just came out of nowhere.
Well, if you listen to that, if you listen,
new Renee.
Really, if you listen to Dot from Texas call, okay, towards the end of the call, I think he realized how stupid he sounded after we had a conversation. When he got to put in, he was all worked up from whatever MS Now told him to think about it, and then he got some clarity from me, and I could tell he was like, "Yeah, I do sound stupid." That's why he.
I don't know a single person who would think that that's appropriate in any way. That wouldn't be an incredible embarrassment. Like, you can't even get your employees under control for the president of the United States. Like, what is it? This isn't like a school auditorium. I think Dot is like, I don't know what
it's called Trump. It's called Trump derangement syndrome. Trump derangement syndrome.
I know, and all he does is just say your name over and over when he's losing. Brian. Hold on a minute, Brian. Yeah. And so it's just like, But anyway, I want to talk about Greenland.
Yes.
So the very important, if you look at an overview, bird's eye view of the Arctic region, where like you're looking at the top of the globe and you're just looking down, it makes a circle, and the circle is composed of Canada, Alaska, Russia. Once you get over the Bering Strait, you go into Russia. That curves halfway around the top of the globe, and you get parts of Northern Europe like Sweden and the Scandinavia, and then there's the Atlantic, and then there's Greenland. And the Greenland finishes the half semicircle that Canada and Alaska make up. When you look at that map, you realize how imperative it is that Trump really
you have access
nailing it.
You have access to the northern region of every area of the planet from Greenland very quickly with high-speed supersonic jets and missiles and bombers and everything else. It's amazing.
Yeah, you can circumvent the globe like in half the, instead of going across the Atlantic, you go across the Arctic, and it's like a third of the time. It's
Yeah,
like,
maybe
insane.
less.
And so Trump,
Maybe less.
It's not as if we like want to take Greenland. We need Greenland.
In fact, if I remember correctly, now again, I could be wrong about this because I haven't thought about this in a long time, but didn't Lindbergh fly over Greenland on the way to France to shorten the distance? That's how he made it. He didn't fly. Yeah, he didn't fly directly across the Atlantic. He flew over Greenland because of the curvature of the Earth. Even then, they knew in the 20s. But it cracks me. The reason I bring this up today is not just because President Trump was so firm in what he said, which was amazing about the premier of Greenland, is I love the liberals defending the white colonialists from Europe, right, of Denmark. It's Denmark's.
Yeah,
those white colonialists in Denmark, that's their colony. Damn you. How dare you? When they're calling us white colonialists all the time. It cracks me up.
Oh, well, look at what they're doing with Iran. Complete silence. These people who are so against oppression and like the subjugation of women. Where you don't see any protests on the college campuses.
Listen, I gotta run for the break, but I appreciate the call. Good call, Ben from Pompano. We'll be right back. You gotta love these callers, don't you? Dot from Texas. He was out of his mind. He did have a realization at the end that I was right. We'll be right back.
Looking for the perfect gift or just something to brighten your kitchen? Check out Love It Listings on Etsy. From rock and roll mugs to vintage movie poster mugs, they've got your favorite icons in your favorite size. Valentine's Day water bottles, fun magnets, colorful coasters, candles, and quirky kitchen towels, all ready to make someone smile. Whether it's a gift for a friend, your sweetheart, or yourself, Love It Listings has something you'll love. Visit loveitlistings.etsy.com today and bring a little fun to every sip, snack, and spill. That's loveitlistings.etsy.com. Fun, functional, and totally unique. If you love making pizza at home, you already know the secret is the dough. But keeping dough balls perfectly shaped, properly fermented, and organized in your fridge, that's the hard part. Not anymore, thanks to KevJess silicone dough proofing boxes. KevJess gives every dough ball its own individual container, so nothing sticks together, nothing dries out, and every ball stays perfectly round. The tight-fitting lid locks in the right humidity, making 24 to 72-hour cold fermentation easy and consistent. Made from food-grade silicone, KevJess containers are reusable, easy to clean, and designed to save fridge space compared to bulky proofing trays. They're stable, reinforced, and perfect for home pizza makers using pizza ovens or anyone serious about great dough. Better fermentation, better shape, better pizza. Upgrade your dough process with KevJess silicone dough proofing boxes. Online at kevjess.com. That's KEVJES. They make great gifts too. Order yours right now and start baking pizza like it was meant to be made. KevJess.com.
This is Jamie Levac with Swift Tax. With the big, beautiful bill, I can help you with your federal, state, city, and income tax. The Treasury Secretary said that this year, taxpayers will be receiving the biggest refund they've had in years. We at Swift Tax will maximize your refund. Call me now, 954-773-1587. That number rings directly to my cell phone, 954-773-1587.
All right, we'll be back shortly, guys. All right, we'll be back in about 20 seconds. If you're on hold, stand by. Oh, man, I tell you, Trump's got it all going on. All right, 15 seconds. Boy, oh boy. Very firm, isn't he? Very firm. All right, stand by. We're back. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show. Oh, man, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, brother Brian. IB. Hey, man.
Hey, hold on. Give me, IB. Yeah, what's on your mind?
You got your work cut out for you with that Darth. I told you that guy's a loon. You'll never change.
Dot from Texas. Dot. I don't know. Is Dot short for? Is Dot short for Dottie? I'm not sure. What's Dot short for? I don't know any other names other than Dottie.
thought it was Doc F for a while, but then I couldn't make it like Dart, like a dart you throw, or Darth.
Oh,
so
no.
I can't figure it out. Remember he's from Louisiana and Canada, so you could trust what he says.
Yes.
You remember back in the height of woke, when you did something wrong on an email, or you tweeted someone the wrong way, or said the wrong word, and you were fired for that.
Yes.
So you have strong people in HR departments, and the fact that guy wasn't fired. Didn't Trump give him the finger because it was kind of blurred from my angle?
He said F you. President Trump said F you a couple times and gave him the finger. Yeah. Pretty cool. That's probably going to be one of the most famous presidential photos in history as time goes on. It very well may.
If that does not show you that liberals don't have any boundaries and self-control on your job, with you're supposed to be having problems with HR to do this to your own employees, like whistle at a woman, and this guy does that in the middle of one of the biggest promotion of their companies. There's no reason he shouldn't have packed up his whatever and get in the car that day and not come back. So I don't get that.
Yeah.
As for Greenland, of course, 1823, Monroe Doctrine, then Roosevelt, the corollary. Well, Trump, you see what he did in Argentina. Those people are messing with our backyard, the Western Hemisphere. So now we're going to go to our borderline where it starts, where the original paper was agreed upon between the Europeans and the Western Hemisphere.
Yeah.
That paper was signed between all parties. So what all of that shenanigans that's been going on all these years that all the other administration let go by, like everything that was going on in Argentina, well, Trump is now showing you guys, hey, we're going to insert our world domination, and we're going to take back what is rightfully ours.
That's right.
And if you stick your big toe over this line, we're not going to have it anymore. I want to know what the agreement is that Denmark did with Greenland in the first place. What is that document? And then what was
President Trump said so. Like 500 years ago, Denmark sent some boat there, and they said this is ours.
Get out of town. So
that's what Trump said.
They would be considered what the Democrats accuse us of stealing.
Denmark is what liberal Democrats hate the word more than anything. White European colonizers.
And what they don't understand is they're not white people; they are Eskimos. So,
yeah, but Denmark is pretty white. Denmark is if you're from Denmark, you're as white as white gets. Unless maybe you're Norwegian.
No,
you're like as white as it. Oh, Greenland. Yes.
No, I'm talking about Greenland, not not Denmark. I've been to Aalborg, Denmark, actually, where the East and West Sea meets, and you can look across and see Norway. I've been there. I'm actually at the tip of the East and West Sea.
Yeah. See, aren't those like the whitest people you've ever seen? Pretty much.
I got a picture so I can prove it there. Absolutely.
So why are the Democrats siding with white European colonizers all of a sudden?
Because anything Trump wants, they don't, and their king's next protest coming up is falling right into line with them asserting themselves as he is the king.
Does Denmark have a royal family? They got to have a royal family. There's a king, right?
They all go back to the Queen of. All go back to the Queen of England.
Is there a?
They all go back to the Queen of England.
No, but is there a king in Denmark?
Denmark. They have a person kind of like a king, but I don't think they really call him a king. But it is a king.
Yeah, no, Frederick the 10th. Frederick the 10th. So So let me get this straight. So the No Kings March people are supporting the King of Denmark, Frederick the 10th. Well, I thought they said no more. Then if it's no more, thanks for the call. You brought something up good there, IB. Yeah, the King of Denmark is Frederick the 10th. So why are you liberals supporting white European colonizers led by King Frederick the 10th? I thought it was no kings. Democrats. Oh man. Things are getting good. I love it. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian. Thank God that music on hold sucks. But anyways, hey, this is Jim from Gary, Indiana. Number one, I want to start by saying...
hang in there.
Adam.
Yeah. Go ahead.
And I want to get back to old Diddy from Texas, or Dot from Texas. involved in a high dignitary like that. The only reason he wasn't fired is because of the union. He's lucky he only got suspension. He's now on worldwide stage as making an ass out of himself and making an ass out of Ford by making those comments and bringing that out of President Trump.
I thought it was pretty cool the way Trump reacted, though. I liked it. The middle finger said F you a couple times. I loved it.
This is who we voted for. This is who we wanted. We want an alpha male in there that takes control. Screw them.
That's right.
If you don't like us, screw you too.
That's right. That's right. Where are you calling from again? I missed it.
This is Jim from Gary, Indiana.
Gary, Indiana.
Many times
Yeah. Gary, Indiana. All right, Gary, Indiana. You make some good points. Now, what do you think about this? What do you think about this hypocrisy we stumbled on with Greenland? The No Kings March liberal lunatics are siding with the King of Denmark for white European colonizers in Denmark. Why are the No Kings people on the side of the King of Denmark when it comes to Greenland? It seems like a hypocrisy on their part.
Brian, it's no different than these idiots who are escaping the United States and screaming "No Kings" and going to England.
Yes,
come on,
that's
really?
right. Where they have a king.
It's a monarchy.
I know. You're talking about Rosie O'Donnell and Ellen DeGeneres. Yes.
Ellen DeGeneres.
No kings. Yeah. We're gonna go to the United Kingdom. What a bunch of idiots.
Yeah.
They don't even.
So I mean, you know what? The only reason they're being loud is some are being paid and the others are just
stupid.
They're so brainwashed. I've got my own daughter. I have a 29-year-old daughter that is so Antifa.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm not. I'm conservative, and I raised my kids very well. She just fell into the wrong crowd, and she is just so screwed in the head. I love her to death, but we haven't talked in 2.5 years.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah, it is. It is what it is, but hopefully she'll grow up and grow out of it.
Yeah.
But in the meantime,
does she have a job? Does she have a job?
She's a floater.
Oh, that means okay. When she gets a job, she'll grow up. She's got to get a job, and then she'll grow up.
Brian, I got her an excellent job, making almost as much as I do.
Wow.
And she had it for a month and a half, and she screwed it up. And I let her and her husband and the kids live in my house during that time so they could save up money, and they just screwed it up.
You're kind of like you're kind of like Archie Bunker with Gloria and Meathead, Rob Reiner in the house. Kind of situation. Real, but real. All right, appreciate the call.
No problem, Brian. God bless you, brother.
All right, thank you. All right, what time? Yeah, we got time. Let's take some more of these calls. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian, it's Sandra from Boca. How are you?
All right, Sandra. We came across this big hypocrisy with the liberals. The No Kings March people are supporting the King of Denmark, Frederick X, and his white European colonialist domination of Greenland. This is amazing what we've stumbled on the program today.
Actually, I'm calling to make a comment on regards to that previous caller that
Dot from Texas.
Tried to justify.
Dot from Texas.
Yeah, the one. Yeah, the one that tried to say, that it was okay how he spoke and everything. I mean, listen, it does. Okay, would he have done that if the president of Ford was walking through?
Yeah.
Maybe not. But this is the president, and the president essentially is the boss of this country. And that's what people don't understand. Whether you like him, whether you don't like him, show a little bit of respect. That's it.
Well, and there's another. You're right. But like if Barack Obama came into the studio with me today, I would refer to him as Mr. President.
There you go.
And if Hillary Clinton was here, I would either call her Mrs. Clinton or Secretary Clinton, whatever you got to show some decency. But here's the thing. It wasn't just the disrespect for the president and this country and everything that the guy did. This is a multi-billion-dollar deal that Ford's putting together, and they have the guy who's going to make the decisions on things that are going to be affecting Ford in the billion-dollar numbers over the course of who knows how many decades. And then you got some guy out there calling him the P word, as he's walking out. I mean, the guy should have been fired on the spot.
Oh, at all angles it's wrong. But you see, this country's developed oppositional defiance disorder.
Yes.
So,
Wow.
and that's kind of what's rampant right now. Let me
Yeah.
go against ICE. Let me go against the president. Let me say whatever I want. That's not how it works. We have
No.
to have some decorum, and it doesn't exist anymore.
Correct.
It just doesn't.
Decency,
So,
common
anyway.
decency, respect. You know, when I was telling the other day, when I first moved to Florida from Ohio for school, I started 5th grade in Florida, and that was like 1981, 1982, and I was shocked that to the teachers we had to say yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, yes, sir, no, sir. I never heard such talk before, and you know, there's just and that's how it was in Florida back then in the early 80s. There's no respect any longer. You see what's going on. There's no respect for authority, for rule of law, by the left, for the respect of someone's office. I would never. It's one thing to have a discussion and you're critical. Even if Biden came in, as crazy as this, I would call him Mr. President. It'd be hard, but you got to show some common decency and respect to the office, even if you don't like the man. It's like the military. You salute the rank, not the man. It's a similar thing.
Absolutely. And when we were growing up, there was still the Democratic Party. There was still the Republican Party. And they both had different views. But never did I hear about these stories that somebody would start throwing obscenities at the president and screaming at the president.
Yeah, I saw this when I first started working in talk radio. Bush 1 was president. And this was in Fort Lauderdale. Air Force One landed in Fort Lauderdale. And because I worked at a radio station, I got to go down to the airport where he came. I didn't get to meet him, but I got to go down to the airport where everybody lines up on the tarmac. And President, this was Bush 1, Bush 41. Bush 41 drives by and he's waving at everybody. This guy next to me, he's with the Young Democrats. He gave him the middle finger, stuck it right out at him. And I couldn't believe it. I was a little embarrassed because I didn't want the president to think I was with him. And the president just saw him, smiled, and waved at him. And I think, liberals are classless. They are classless people that don't even have basic manners.
Exactly. And I'm still waiting for one to emerge.
You'll die waiting for that. All right, appreciate the call.
All
right, call us on hold. You stand by. I want to talk about Sloman's Home Security's offer of a free home security system with free professional installation and 24/7 central station monitoring. You get all that for just $24.95 a month for 5 years. What a great deal. It's a free home security system and professional installation, absolutely free. Your Sloman's Home Security System includes a touchscreen keypad, 3 door or window sensors, a motion detector, notifications, and remote keypad access, so you can check in anytime, no matter where you are. In fact, if you're on our cruise, I check in when I'm on the cruise. On my phone, on my computer, I'm always checking in. When we're on our MAGA cruise every year, give them a call. Here's the number: 833-283-5050. 833-283-5050. That's 833-283-5050. We'll be right back. All right, we're clear. If you're on hold, stand by, okay? I'm going to take the calls when we get back from the break, okay? So don't go anywhere. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Sandra. I'm calling from Delray Beach. The Barry Siegel Law Group did such wonderful work for me, and I was very particular. I'm a professional myself, and I went to about 3 or 4 attorneys prior. They wanted to do what they wanted to do. They didn't want to add anything extra, but Barry tailored it to my needs. And it's not only the trust. There's so many other end-of-life documents, the living will, the will, and I tailored each one of them to my liking, and they were wonderful and always polite. Never showed any aggravation, or because I contacted them many times. Always polite. And not only that, when you finish your documents and you leave this world, your beneficiaries could go there and they'll explain everything to them, which is a big deal because a lot of these beneficiaries or heirs, they're not cognizant of what to do. I just wanted to let you know that the Siegel Group is above and beyond any other attorney that I have ever contacted. Plus, they give you a big portfolio at the end with a leather-bound documents. It's beautiful.
Give the Siegel Law Group a call, 855-FLA-3782, 855-FLA-3782, and online, SiegelLawGroup.com.
Planning a trip with friends shouldn't feel like a full-time job, but somehow great ideas get buried in group chats, decisions drag on forever, and budgets turn into last-minute spreadsheet nightmares. That's why there's Trip Exchange. Trip Exchange is completely free. It brings all your trip planning together in one simple place with no paywalls. And you can collect and organize ideas, vote, and decide together. Plan and track budgets automatically and instantly see who owes whom without spreadsheets. With Trip Exchange, there's no more missed ideas, no more confusion, no more awkward money talk either. Just clear planning, fair cost sharing, and stress-free trips from start to finish. Whether it's a weekend getaway, a group vacation, or a shared event, Trip Exchange keeps everyone on the same page. Plan smarter, travel better. Visit trip-exchange.com. That's trip-exchange, trip-exchange.com. And start planning today. Trip-exchange.com.
Tom Laporta here from Laporta Roofing. Happy New Year, health, wealth, and happiness, and may 2026 be your best year. The first quarter of each year is the slowest for roofing contractors across Florida due to the lack of rain, vacationers, and recuperating from the holiday spend. We have secured 2024 pricing on certain roofing materials with our suppliers for the first quarter only. So if you are planning on a new roof in 2026, take advantage of our first quarter low pricing now. These savings are significant, especially for multiple building HOA and condo associations. This covers shingles, tiles, and flat roof systems, so give me a call on my cell at 954-604-4602 or find us on the web at laportaroofing.com. That number again is 954-604-4602 or on the web at laportaroofing.com.
All right, we're going to be back in less than a minute. If you're on hold, stand by. We're in radio break. I saw somebody put this up on X. Yeah, these are some of the highlights of Trump, right? That mugshot that they got in Fulton County. What a bunch of scumbuckets, right? Then they shot him. Think about it. Democrats got the mugshot. Then they shot him in Butler. I love how he made the mugshot his official portrait, and then they got that. All right, we got 20 seconds. I love it. It's a great picture. All right, stand by. If you're on hold, we're going to go to the phones when we get back. We're back. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Brian. How are you today? It's Mark from New York.
Hey, Mark.
Hey, I just want to say this is so dumb. The whole Greenland thing, I don't understand it. Mm-hmm. You guys are so hypocrites. If Biden had done this, you guys would be screaming how unfit he is for office.
Had done what?
It's just
protected America against China?
Trying to take over Greenland? Protect them from what? No one has ever explained it. He can't even explain why. He's so desperate to not go down as the worst president in history. He's trying to expand our borders.
Why do you think, because the president's told us many times, why he's taking Greenland away from the white colonial king of Denmark?
Why do you keep saying white? I don't understand that.
Because the liberals call us. I'm glad you asked. Okay, it gives me an opportunity to explain it again to the liberally impaired people in this audience. The left tell us that white lives don't matter. In fact, there was a white liberal protester in Minneapolis over the weekend at the site where Renee Good had the confrontation with the ICE officer, who was crying over her death and said, I don't even know if I should be crying because she was white and I'm white. Like, you're not supposed to. The left have been calling the United States an illegitimate country because we're white colonialist. They have these no king marches. Okay. They have these no king marches going on. When it comes to Greenland, excuse me, I'm not done answering your question. When it comes to Greenland, it's controlled by Denmark. You don't get whiter than Denmark. It's they have a king, Frederick the 10th, king people, and it's a colony. So they're siding with the white king European colonial power of Denmark over Greenland, and I think it's kind of funny that the liberal hypocrisy there is so obvious on so many different points at once. White, king, and colonizer. We got three hypocrisies in one.
I haven't heard anyone say that.
Well, because I'm very smart and have great analysis on the news and events facing us each and every day.
You don't have any other answer. That's your only answer.
Well, wait a minute. Denmark, Greenland. Well, tell me where. Greenland is a colony of Denmark. Denmark is a white European country, as white as it gets, and they have a king, Frederick the 10th. So brilliant things. Somebody's got to say it first, and I came up with it first.
So now any country can just take something that they say is theirs.
No. What I'm telling you is the Democrats.
We have to be okay with that.
No, that's not a white. They don't have a white king European colonial power. The Democrats are against America because we're white colonizers. I have callers call me that all the time.
Protest.
Oh, all of them. Black lives, even white protesters. Black Lives Matter, Antifa. Okay, and you've got your third No Kings March coming on, but you're supporting King Frederick the 10th of Denmark and his colonial hold of Greenland. You know I'm right. Why don't you just admit it? Just admit, Brian, you got me. Brian, you got me. How about it? Just say, Brian, you got me.
Oh,
You're
man,
right.
you guys are it's so hard to argue with you guys. You guys are so stupid.
Because
you
I
don't
know.
understand logic.
Yeah, it's hard to argue because
man,
I'm so right.
I feel bad for you, bro. I feel bad for everyone around you.
Yeah, I know you're trying to manifest. I know you're trying to
guys
manifest to try to get out of your humiliation, but you cannot manifest out of this humiliation.
Oh, you're so clever, buddy. It's so dumb. I'm so glad all our allies are going to leave us, and Trump will go down as the president who ruined everything. I can't wait for you to say, I don't really support him. Oh, man, you guys are going to look so dumb. And it's sad because
I will give you this. When you're talking about looking dumb, at least you're talking about an area that you have lots of experience yourself with. So, All right, appreciate the call, New York. Oh, boy. He didn't think that call through too well, did he? Oh, boy. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, this is Richie.
Hey, Richie.
I want to address this guy good morning. I want to address this idiot that just called, okay?
Give me a second, Richie. Now, you have to be a little more specific. Several idiots have called today. Which idiot are you referring to?
The last one. The last one that told you about Greenland.
Yes.
My friend, you voted for Biden, a corpse, for 4 years. What was your excuse? Okay, what was your excuse? A corpse who destroyed this country. And now you're talking about Trump destroying the country? I didn't see 20 million illegal people come into this country under President Trump. Matter of fact, I'm happy he's doing what he's doing. He should do it faster, and he should, as far as I'm concerned, they're too easy on these protesters. Now I'm going to say this to you, Brian. Those glasses that you have, it's a funny thing to say. The speaker on there was excellent.
Are you talking about my Meta Ray-Ban glasses? I'm not wearing them now. I was wearing them this morning doing it live. I know they're amazing, aren't they?
Yeah, you and I talked at a table together. I like the way you sounded like I was right next to you.
I've been telling you guys, my wife got me the Meta Ray-Ban glasses for Christmas, and I didn't think I would have much use for them. The Meta glass, they have other types other than Ray-Bans, but I'm a product of the 80s, right? I'm a Gen X guy, so everything's Ray-Ban. Yeah. And they're transition lenses too, so they're sunglasses as well. The Meta glasses are the biggest technological breakthrough so far as gadgets and gizmos since the iPhone. It's I remember when I made the mistake of throwing out all my CDs because I got an iPod. I wish I still had the CDs. But it does everything. It's amazing, the Meta glasses.
Yeah, but the transition lenses, I had them also. They don't work in the car because the car's got that film on the windshield. and it'll work outside.
No, it does.
When-
No, they
in your
work.
car,
They
you
work
will-
inside. They just don't. They
Really?
the transition lenses on my Meta Ray-Bans, they change based on the light. So if you've got some light, they only are a little darker. If there's the brighter it is, the darker they get. Mm-hmm. They're amazing. Everybody should get them. I'm going to get them for my daughter for her birthday. They are the Meta. By the way, Meta. The only problem with Meta is no one likes Zuckerberg because he's such a weirdo, and he's like the spokesperson for Meta glasses. So most people like me are reluctant to get them. It's like having Jared from Subway, as your spokesperson. People don't like, but Meta glasses are amazing.
I want to address Robert. Robert, okay. Robert obviously doesn't work for anybody, or probably never worked in his life.
Oh yes.
I worked for 5.5 years for Sears and Roebuck. I don't even know if you knew that. Before I started driving a bus, I worked
really?
for Sears for 5.5 years.
Wow.
Oh yeah, and so I did work.
Where at? What Sears did you work at? Was it in South Florida?
The Hollywood.
The Hollywood.
Yeah, 1260 store 1260.
Was that the Hollywood Mall? Isn't that where Adam Walsh was kidnapped from?
Yes, I was. I was driving the bus that day.
Oh my goodness!
I was driving the bus that went into that mall that day. My mother was babysitting my daughter in the mall the day he was taken. She
goodness!
Was there with my daughter.
Wow, it's a small world.
Now I'm going to say something about that. Okay, if Brian walked into Sears and I was working there and I looked at Brian and I cursed Brian out.
Yes.
I would have been fired on the spot. You know why? Because I'm not representing me. I'm representing Sears.
Yeah.
If I walked out on the street and cursed Brian, nothing happens to me.
Correct.
So the bottom line is this guy had no respect in the Ford plant. I believe it was the Ford plant. Had no respect, and he was representing the company. He deserved to be fired, but because of the union, he's only going to be suspended, and they'll take it to arbitration. Now, the other thing I'm going to say about Greenland, this is really fast. I want to be the devil's advocate here. Putin needed Crimea because he needed that port, and he went and he took it. What's the difference with what President Trump is doing? Except he wants to pay for it, but if they don't take the money, he wants to take it.
The people of the difference is the people of Greenland will be free people. They're not free now. They'll be free, and they're going to be rich, right? They're going to be rich, and they're going to be free.
Crimea had a lot of Russians there, and it was you even said that was a civil war.
Yeah, and I've been watching. Nick Shirley's been in Greenland, and Greenland could use an upgrade. I mean, when we take Greenland, the natives of Greenland, you come back, it's gonna be the Dubai of the North Pole. It's gonna be like Dubai with ice.
You know what we could do there?
Dubai.
We could expand the National Hockey League, and we won't have to have Canadian teams. We'll have more U.S. teams.
I bet you we have the Winter Olympics in Greenland.
Oh, that's a perfect place for it.
Heck yeah, it is.
It's a sheet of ice.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to go there. I'm sorry. I'm
going to go. When it becomes part of the United States, I'll visit it. Absolutely. I got to run for the top of the hour. Appreciate the call, Richie. Take care. If you're on hold, stand by. We'll take our break for the top. The number is toll-free 888-465-2631. It's a toll-free call. 888-465-2631. After the top of the hour, we'll come back with your calls. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show. Back right after this. All right, we're clear. We're in radio station break right now, but we did stumble upon something, didn't we? Oh, yeah. This is going very, very well today. I'm excited. I really am.
If you love making pizza at home, you already know the secret is the dough. But keeping dough balls perfectly shaped, properly fermented, and organized in your fridge, that's the hard part. Not anymore, thanks to KevJess silicone dough proofing boxes. KevJess gives every dough ball its own individual container, so nothing sticks together, nothing dries out, and every ball stays perfectly round. The tight-fitting lid locks in the right humidity, making 24 to 72-hour cold fermentation easy and and consistent. Made from food-grade silicone, KevJess containers are reusable, easy to clean, and designed to save fridge space compared to bulky proofing trays. They're stable, reinforced, and perfect for home pizza makers using pizza ovens or anyone serious about great dough. Better fermentation, better shape, better pizza. Upgrade your dough process with KevJess silicone dough proofing boxes. Online at kevjess.com. That's KEVJES. They make great gifts too. Order yours right now and start baking pizza like it was meant to be made. kevjess.com.
On the line, we have Lewis. He had some issues with some taxes in past years, and he called Jamie Levac over at Swift Tax, and Jamie took good care of him. Lewis, welcome to the program.
Oh, thank you. How you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing great. So tell me how Jamie from Swift Tax helped you on your taxes.
I was having trouble with another company. I called Jamie, and the next day I brought my wife in there with all the paperwork, and he straightened all my back taxes out, and I'm actually getting money back now.
Wow, this is pretty amazing. So this other company you went to told you owed the government money, and Jamie over at Swift Tax took a look and found out that not only did you not owe money, you're getting money back from the government?
Yes, I got nice big checks coming soon.
Do what Lewis did. Call Jamie Levac over at Swift Tax. 954-773-1587. 954-773-1587.
Looking for the perfect gift or just something to brighten your kitchen? Check out Love It Listings on Etsy. From rock and roll mugs to vintage movie poster mugs, they've got your favorite icons in your favorite size. Valentine's Day water bottles, fun magnets, colorful coasters, candles, and quirky kitchen towels, all ready to make someone smile. Whether it's a gift for a friend, your sweetheart, or yourself, Love It Listings has something you'll love. Visit loveitlistings.etsy.com today and bring a little fun to every sip, snack, and spill. That's loveitlistings.etsy.com. Fun, functional, and totally unique.
All right, we'll be back in about 90 seconds on the radio. We're still in radio station break. Yeah, I don't think that this... See, we came up... I love when that caller, when I pointed out that the Democrats are supporting the white European king colonizer of Greenland, and he said, the guy from New York, you're the first person I've heard say that. Yeah, well, I'm glad that the liberal gave me credit for coming up with that brilliant point. These No King March people, they're going to look pretty stupid. They're going to look pretty stupid, aren't they? Well, they're no kings, but they're supporting a king. This is great. We got 1 minute, and we'll be back. If you're on hold, stand by. I'm going to wait till we're back on the radio to take your calls. The number, if you want to call in, there's 2 openings on the board, is pinned in the live chat. It's 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. It's a toll-free call no matter where you're located. We'll be back in about 30 seconds. Let's see, where are we? Okay. All right. Stand by, 20 seconds. Oh, boy, I got to rest my voice a little bit. All right, we're back. The 7 o'clock hour has begun. My name is Brian Craig. You are listening to Florida's longest-running radio show, The Steve Kane Show. This is where MAGA comes to talk. We stumbled upon something on the program today. We were talking about our favorite president, Donald Trump, of course, and he had some, if you're on hold, stand by. Just to recap for those just tuning in, he was asked about taking Greenland yesterday, the president.
On Greenland, sir, the premier of Greenland said today, we prefer to stay with Denmark. Do you see that as the final
said
word?
That?
The premier of Greenland.
Well, that's their problem. That's their problem. I disagree with him. I don't know who he is, don't know anything about him, but that's going to be a big problem for him.
Doesn't the president sound like when he's talking about the premier of Greenland, he's talking about a child? It does, doesn't he? We stumbled upon something. There's another No Kings March coming up. Is this No Kings 3? The Democrats are supporting Denmark's right to Greenland. So we have found out that the No Kings March people are supporting a white European colonial powers colonizing of Greenland. And also the No Kings March people are supporting a king, the King of Denmark, Frederick X. Oh boy, it's not a good day to be a liberal, if any day is. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, Brian. This is Sandra from Indiana.
Hey, Sandra.
And hey, I have several comments. One, if those protesters go over to the UK, even our protesters here, if they're arrested, they should check to see if they're on welfare and stop any of their government assistance for these violent protestings.
Great idea.
Another thing, that stupid guy that called before, is it Richie or Doug? Doesn't he realize that China or Russia could take over Greenland?
Yeah.
Because, and I really think COVID vaccines have ruined all those people's brain cells.
Yeah.
And I looked it up, and the vaccine can exacerbate mental illness.
Well, liberalism is, remember what Michael Savage has said for years, right? Liberalism's a mental disorder.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's
but
the truth.
if any of them that are these protesters that are arrested, they should see if they're on government assistance and stop it immediately.
Good
and
idea.
They ought to be glad they're not in Iran.
That's true. That's true.
They ought to be thankful they're not in Iran.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep.
And I did on that video hear that ICE officer get hit by the vehicle.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, he got hit by it. Yeah. It's being reported now that the surviving wife of Renee Good is being investigated by the feds for her activities that day and her role. So she's facing criminal investigation. Yeah.
Yes, good. My ex-husband was a police officer.
Mm-hmm.
And every time he put his uniform on, I always worried if he was going to come home for dinner or if I was going to hear the knock on the door.
Yeah, really?
That something happened.
That's just not in the movies.
These people need to realize that, because what if one of them was their son or their daughter that became a law enforcement person?
Yep.
And here they're out here beating up ICE and everything. What if one of their family members was, and also protesting for these illegals? What if one of those illegals raped one of their daughters or wife or killed their son? Would they still be out there protesting?
They have been raping and killing our people, right? Multiple times.
But
and they don't.
About the protesters.
Oh, you mean like a personal, like a family member? Yeah.
Yeah, like one of their own family members, if they were raped, say their 12-year-old daughter was raped by one of these guys.
Oh, my goodness.
Would they still be out there protesting for them?
Probably.
No.
I don't know about that. I don't know. These are pretty sick, twisted people. I don't know if that would change their mind.
Well, if it doesn't, then they're demonic.
They're openly supporting the fake Maryland man, who is an MS-13 terrorist member who's involved in human trafficking, which is slave trafficking, and which is also sex trafficking, labor and sex trafficking, and they're supporting that. These people they're soulless. The liberals are soulless.
They are. They're demonic, and if any of them claim they're Christian, they're not, because a Christian would not do this, and someone that has a job would not be out there doing this.
Indeed.
I guarantee you that most of them are on welfare.
Mm-hmm. All right. Thank you for the call. You make some good points.
Thank you, honey.
All right. If you're new to the program, welcome. Our number's toll-free, 888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Conservative Doug.
Hey, Doug.
A couple of things. I'd like to mention something about the Secret Service, but first, NATO. Man, this NATO, we've been taking care of NATO, protecting them since World War II, paying for their existence. And anybody who's a NATO member who's against President Trump, who wanted to take Greenland, is really ungrateful people, man. I can't believe that they would have the audacity to say anything negative about taking over Denmark, which Denmark is not doing their job and protecting Denmark. We want to fix it so China doesn't come over or Russia.
That's right.
This is really disgusting, but this is what we got in this damn world. I can't believe that the people are that I can't take ungrateful people, and they are grateful. The other thing I want to mention, thank you for your podcast yesterday, bringing out this Secret Service rat that we have with J.D. Vance. Man, I couldn't believe that somebody would.
Yeah, I'm gonna get into that after the break. So I'm gonna go through all that again. The Secret Service story with James O'Keefe, but it's a pretty crazy story.
Yeah,
all right, Doug, appreciate the call.
Yeah.
All right, take care. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Brian. It's the Major. How you doing?
All right, the Major who flew into Greenland. How you doing?
Yes, I lived and worked there for 4 years, as you recall. Listen, in regards to Lindbergh, he never flew over Greenland. It was Newfoundland.
Newfoundland, thank you very much. I stand corrected. You are correct.
Yeah.
Newfoundland, you are correct.
Then he flew out of Nova Scotia. And one other point I want to make, that young man from Texas who is a real pain in the ass, every day he bugs you, and a lot of us, our listeners, are sick and tired of his whining, and whatever you say, he's against it.
Let me tell you.
Day.
Okay, a lot of people wonder why we talk to these liberal lunatics and weirdos and rude people, and I'll give you the Reader's Digest capsulized version of it. Number one, anytime that I do a personal appearance, I meet at least one, if not multiple people who tell me, I used to be a liberal. I listened to you for years and years and years. I thought you were a jerk, and now I've been red-pilled, and I'm MAGA. I hear that every appearance I do. But if you go back to his call, Dot from Texas, which was the first call of today's program, okay? By the end of the call, he knew I was right. And you could hear it in his voice. And he's like, he woke up out of the he was briefly red-pilled. That was a brief red pill, and you can tell this has happened a couple times with him lately. He is almost red-pilled completely. He has these brief moments of clarity. Listen, I gotta run. I'm up against the break, Major, but I appreciate the call.
Okay.
All right, you take care. We'll talk another time. If you're on hold, stand by. This story about J.D. Vance is huge. I'm going to get to that in a bit. Do you or someone you know or love suffer from neuropathy? Oh man. It's the worst. You may have neuropathy and not even know it. Here's the symptoms. Do you have numbness, pain, burning, tingling in your hands and feet, muscle weakness, loss of balance, muscle twitching, the feeling of pins and needles in your hands and feet, no feeling at all in your hands and feet? Are you falling down from time to time? If you have neuropathy, it's living torture. Steve Kane had neuropathy, every symptom, and he had it bad. And we found Lighthouse Medical. Lighthouse Medical has a treatment for neuropathy that works and lasts. Steve had his treatment for neuropathy 3.5 years ago, and he's still neuropathy free. He doesn't have any of those symptoms after 3.5 years. Give them a call. They can help you no matter where you are located. 754-222-6642. 754-222-6642. 754-222-6642. And online, lighthousemedicalcenter.com. We'll be right back. Okay. If you're on hold, stand by. When we get back, I'm going to get into the JD story. And we got a lot to cover, so I got a lot to get into. I got to cue that up. I don't have it queued up. And then I will get back to the calls, and you're welcome to continue to call in about what we're talking about here. But this story with J.D. Vance, just it's a scary story. Okay, here it is. Okay. All right. Let's see. Boy, oh boy. If you're on hold, stand by. If you'd like to call in, the number is pinned in the live chat. We'll be right back.
Looking for the perfect gift or just something to brighten your kitchen? Check out Love It Listings on Etsy. From rock and roll mugs to vintage movie poster mugs, they've got your favorite icons in your favorite size. Valentine's Day water bottles, fun magnets, colorful coasters, candles, and quirky kitchen towels, all ready to make someone smile. Whether it's a gift for a friend, your sweetheart, or yourself, Love It Listings has something you'll love. Visit loveitlistings.etsy.com today and bring a little fun to every sip, snack, and spill. That's loveitlistings.etsy.com. Fun, functional, and totally unique.
This is Jamie Levac with Swift Tax. With the big, beautiful bill, I can help you with your federal, state, city, and income tax. The Treasury Secretary said that this year, taxpayers will be receiving the biggest refund they've had in years. We at Swift Tax will maximize your refund. Call me now, 954-773-1587. That number rings directly to my cell phone, 954-773-1587.
Want to play your favorite games on the go? Or trying to bribe your kid to leave the house? With plenty of gaming power and portability, the Steam Deck Gaming Bundle from OGDiscounted.com is the perfect solution for you. OG Discounted, gaming made cheaper. Visit OGDiscounted.com to get yours now.
All right, stand by. Okay, we're going to be back in just over a minute. All right, just over a minute. So if you're on hold, stand by. Stand by. I'm texting with Mike. Just over a minute, we'll be back. We're back. I'm Brian Craig. This is the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. Calls on hold, stand by. I'm going to take another couple of calls before I move into this J.D. Vance story, but you will not want to miss it. It is, it's a scary story, okay? And we're going to break it all down for you. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Oh, yes? Good morning. How you doing? This is Maria from Florida.
Hey, Maria. What's on your mind?
Hey, how you doing? Remember yesterday when I called you and I was talking to you about certain topics that I don't feel comfortable talking about?
You were confronted in your church for supporting President Trump, and you told me you were going to leave your church and you found a new church.
Yeah. I'm looking at one now, right down the street from where I'm at.
Cool.
But it's called the World Christian Center.
Okay.
It's a big church, but they have different shows. They have a lot of activities there, which is very, very, good for me because it's not so much as one color. It's different colors in there.
You've been going to a black church.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Okay, so the guy that called you yesterday, he's from Texas, and you probably know who I'm talking about. And he mentioned my name. Well, he mentioned my name, and then he said she doesn't understand that Trump doesn't like anyone. Well, let me be clear, very clear to him. First of all, Trump is for America. He was a businessman, owning his own business, living his life. He didn't have to come run for office and try to help us. He is here to help us. It ain't no one simple person. We all Americans. We all stick together, and we need to stick by our president.
Mm-hmm.
So my message to him is, don't quote me by talking about Trump don't like anyone, because he doesn't even know Trump. He doesn't even know what he's talking about, for one thing.
Mm-hmm.
And when you are surround people that speak negativity all the time about racists, you kind of like feed into the racist. I'm not that type of person.
Yeah.
So that's why I call my peoples out. When you do stuff like that, it makes the whole world seems different. It makes the whole world feel like,
you got to understand. Remember what Joe Biden said. If you support Trump, you ain't black, and a lot of people believe that.
Yes, exactly. I'm not that person. I'm not going to even feed into that. I'm not even going to never associate myself with anyone that does that. And when you do that, you make other people feel uncomfortable. I have a lot of people that I don't speak to anymore because of all they little hate towards President Trump. And I'm not having it.
That's
I'm
right.
not having it.
Well, let me know how the new
that's my
church
message
works
to God.
out, because when you go from a black church to I don't know how to say, like I don't want to say regular church. I don't know what way. It's a big. I went to a black church, the one that you used to go to, because I knew the pastor used to be friends with us on the show, and it's a whole nother experience when you go to a black church.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know what was going on in there. It was kind of like Arsenio Hall and Coming to America. That's like real. That's what it was like. And I wasn't used to it. So you may be in for a shock the other way. You may be a little bored.
Oh yeah. I went to this church before a while back, before I even joined this one here with Dozier. So I've been there before, and I know. And they all about speaking the word of God. They are not about that. They have a lot of activities there, like choir stuff, because I'm in the choir. I'm in the ministry, and I does a lot of stuff for the church I'm in.
Awesome.
So
well, listen, I gotta run, but let me know how the new church works out.
Okay.
All right.
You.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Oh, right. Yeah, I went to a new church with my daughter over the weekend. Well, new church for me. My daughter, she moved back to Florida from California, and she's been going to this church. It's a Catholic church, and because we're Catholic, they went over. It was a great church, and I love it. I'll probably go back this week because that's where my daughter goes. So I'd rather go to church with my daughter. My daughter asked me to go to church. You got to go to church with your kid, right? They do it. They overdo it on the inside. I was smelling. Today's Wednesday. This is the first day, and it was Sunday Mass. So this is the first day since I went to Mass that I don't smell the incense anymore. I was smelling those incense like it was like the. Remember what Peaches used to smell like when you would go to Peaches, the record store? It was kind of like that. They were going nuts. They must not have smoke alarms in that church. All right, let's go back to the phones. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
I'm Morgan. I'm from Pennsylvania. How about you, sir?
I'm Brian. I'm from Florida. How about you?
Nice to meet you.
Yes.
Yeah, I want to pick your brain about Trump's policy regarding the trucking industry. Do you have time for that?
Well, open phones is on Friday, but I'll take a bite. You have an issue with his policy on trucking, okay?
I don't have an issue with it. I have a question why all the other states are not complying with it.
Well, it is not. It's not the state. The president is the president of the United States, all 50 of them, and it is federal law. It is federal law that to have a CDL license to drive, to drive trucks.
Speak English, yeah.
You must speak and be able to read English. And if you don't, you illegally are driving on the federal highways. So
I'm wondering why California, like for example, California passed a law stating that everybody has a right to have a driver's license despite their immigration status.
Because Governor Gavin Newsom is in rebellion against the federal government. It is an illegal law. Local state laws do not override federal law, and the interstate highway system is owned by the federal government. So the federal government. Excuse me. I'm answering your question. Then you can respond with your liberalese.
Sorry, I apologize. You're right.
The federal government owns the interstate highway system, so they decide the law of the highways. And that's how for many years they kept the speed limit at 55, and that's how the federal government has kept the drinking age at 21. You know, I wasn't old enough. When I was a kid in Florida, you could drink at 19. But, you know, but it's 21. The federal government did that through their control of the highway funds. Yeah. All right. So now that you know, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I just think it's almost a way of destabilizing the economy by lowering the overall rates of the trucking industry with a flood of immigrants who don't belong in the industry.
That's true. I agree with you. Yeah, I agree. They're taking jobs away from Americans. That's correct. That's correct. If you're on hold, stand by. I want to take a quick break, and I want to talk about Coastal Weight Loss Secret. The Coastal Weight Loss Secrets changed my life. You guys know. Last year, before our MAGA cruise, I wanted to lose some weight because I'm out there with all our listeners. I'm in a swimsuit. I'm in beach wear all the time. We're going on excursions. We're on a cruise ship all week. I wanted to lose some weight. I'd gained some weight, and I went over to Coastal Weight Loss Secret. It was on Inauguration Day because I went to Coastal Weight Loss Secret, and then I went right from there to our inauguration party for the president at Wings Plus in Coral Springs. And Dr. Zuckerman said, how much weight do you want to lose? I said, I'd like to lose 25 pounds. He says, when's your cruise? And I said, it's like in a month. He said, no problem. I said, come on. He said, no problem. Not only was he right, I lost 25 pounds in 3 weeks. And you know what? I've lost over 35 pounds in total. I've kept the weight off. I haven't gained back an ounce. There are no pills, no injections, no surgery, no intense working out. You'll never go hungry. And I ate foods I would normally eat. That's right. Give them a call at Coastal Weight Loss Secret and schedule your no-charge consultation. They can help you no matter where you are located. 561-247-6300. 561-247-6300. And online, coastalweightlossecret.com. We'll be right back. All right, we're clear. We're in radio station break now. If you're on hold, stand by, okay? We'll take a quick break. Be right back.
What if the screams you hear at night aren't animals, but people? Just miles outside Albuquerque, New Mexico, there's a forgotten valley where no one pays attention anymore. And that's where everything goes wrong. In Valley of Death, Zombie Trailer Park, available on Amazon, author William Bebb takes you to a remote trailer park filled with outcasts, criminals, a World War II veteran, and neighbors who just wanted to be left alone until the dead stop staying dead. After a deadly industrial accident, one man comes back hungry, and the valley becomes home to the depraved, the noble, the innocent, and the walking dead. When the least dangerous thing you encounter is an angry rattlesnake, you know you've made a wrong turn. Valley of Death Zombie Trailer Park is a gritty, darkly original zombie story that proves monsters don't always live far from home. Order your copy right now on Amazon in Kindle, paperback, and audiobook. Valley of Death Zombie Trailer Park from author William Bebb.
Tom Laporta here from Laporta Roofing. Happy New Year, health, wealth, and happiness, and may 2026 be your best year. The first quarter of each year is the slowest for roofing contractors across Florida due to the lack of rain, vacationers, and recuperating from the holiday spend. We have secured 2024 pricing on certain roofing materials with our suppliers for the first quarter only. So if you are planning on a new roof in 2026, take advantage of our first quarter low pricing now. These savings are significant, especially for multiple building HOA and condo associations. This covers shingles, tiles, and flat roof systems, so give me a call on my cell at 954-604-4602 or find us on the web at laportaroofing.com. That number again is 954-604-4602 or on the web at laportaroofing.com.
All right, if you're on hold, stand by. We've got just over a minute, and we'll be back. We're still in radio break. And, oh, man. Very good calls today, I must say. Good calls. Sometimes, Dot in Texas. Next time Dot from Texas calls, we'll find out what Dot is short for. Because I don't know. What's a man's name that Dot would be short for? I don't know. Okay, less than a minute. So if you're on hold, stand by. There's one opening on the board at 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. All right, 30 seconds or so. Welcome back, everyone. We have one opening on the board. My name is Brian Craig. This is Florida's longest-running radio show, The Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977. All right, I'm going to go to the phones, and I've lost track of what order everyone called in, guys. There's too many people on hold. I will try to take these in the order in which they were received to the best of my ability. All right, you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Craig. I'm from down in Oregon.
Down in Oregon? No matter, that's up there.
I want to ask you a question about the Epstein files. And
No. Down in Oregon? The only place it's down from is if you're in, Washington. You're on the air. What's your name? Open phones is Friday. Open Manga Mike Friday. You can call in on Friday about anything and everything on your mind. But Monday through Thursday, you got to talk about what we bring up. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Mark. Can you hear me?
I can.
Regarding your weight loss, how come you never say how they do it?
I do.
You always say...
Well, that would be the secret. When you call, then it's Coastal Weight Loss Secret. When you call, they'll give you the secret. If I told everybody, it wouldn't be Coastal Weight Loss Secret. It would be Coastal Weight Loss Everybody Knows. No, you got to call them. They'll tell you the secret. It's in the name, I tell you, these people. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? We had really good calls for the last 90 minutes, and now we're on a downturn. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, Brian. Ray of Sunrise.
Hey, Ray. Can you turn down the volume in the background, if you don't mind?
Yeah, I just did.
Hey, Ray. What's on your mind?
Yeah. How you doing? Hey, you're a history buff, and you know that they don't teach history anymore, but a very quick lesson. In 1803, we were just a little country, remember, along the eastern seaboard? President Jefferson made the Louisiana Purchase from the King of France. In 1867, President Andrew Johnson purchased Alaska from the Russian Tsar.
Yeah.
That means that's an emperor. Okay. In 1917, we purchased the Danish West Indies. We call them the Virgin Islands now, okay?
Mm-hmm.
That's you from the King of Denmark. A little lesson for those liberals out there.
Oh.
By the way, if they want to know what the Western Hemisphere is, just ask them to Google North Polar Projection Map.
Okay.
And you'll see clearly. You can see it all clearly.
Okay.
Just wanted to give a little history lesson.
All right, appreciate it. All right, Ray. Ray from Sunrise. He's always got. At least he's not correcting my grammar today. That's one of his favorite things. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Montana Mark.
Hey, Mark. What's up?
The Democrats are just the most dishonest and hypocrites.
Indeed.
Because, a while back, it was happening all the time. If you supported and voted Trump, lost your bank account, your jobs, lost your businesses.
A lot of people got debanked. Debanking, yeah. Even the Trumps were debanked.
And, you know, the way the Democrats are running the country, they were total kings and queens. If you didn't go their way,
that's true.
It was like,
that's true. I agree. Yeah, that's right. All right, let's. I'll try a couple more. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Once, twice. All right, you missed your. The rest of you on hold, stand by. I want to get to this story because it's a big story. And if you're on hold, hang in there. We'll go back to the calls in just a bit. James O'Keefe broke a story yesterday that, without question, is the biggest story that James O'Keefe has broken since the Acorn story that made him famous. If you don't remember the Acorn story, you can go look that up. I don't want to go through the history of that. But James O'Keefe did another undercover sting. And the way they do this is they have undercover journalists that work for James O'Keefe, and they put ads on Tinder or Grindr, and they meet these people, and they have hidden cameras, and they do some real investigative reporting. James O'Keefe had an undercover, and I'm just going to do a brief setup, and then I'm going to play you the James O'Keefe soundbite, and it explains everything. I just want to give you a little explanation before I share it. And if you're on hold, hang in there. We'll go back to the calls in a little bit. But this is important. So James O'Keefe has a female undercover reporter who's out on a date with a Secret Service agent who works on J.D. Vance's detail. And why this guy is not in a holding cell in some federal facility somewhere, I don't know. So this is it. This is James O'Keefe. He'll explain it to you a little bit. And then you'll hear some of the undercover video with J.D. Vance's Secret Service agent and the undercover female reporter with James O'Keefe.
Breaking news, the United States Secret Service agent has leaked sensitive information about the vice president and including the president. Breaking news here, U.S. Secret Service agent assigned to Vice President J.D. Vance has leaked information, a holdover from the Biden administration, stating that he voted for Joe Biden, expressing opposition to ICE. Quote, I hate that shit. He's talking about ICE.
Oh, whoa, sorry about that, Mike. You got to hit the dump button, Mike. You got to hit the dump button. Sorry, James O'Keefe. Boom. There you go, Mike. Okay. Let me play a little bit more, and then I'll tell you about it. I thought I fast-forwarded through the curse word, but the Secret Service agent in question, what he did is he meets this girl. There was more than one date, okay? And he gave her a lot of information, okay? And the information he gave her was not only the location of the Vice President of the United States, but his future locations through text message. He was text messaging her, telling her where he was with the Vice President and where the Vice President was going to be days ahead. Gave classified information. Another thing that he did, if you're on hold, really hold on. I got to wait for the delay to build back up. The other thing that he did, okay, was tell her, one, he does not support ICE. He does not support J.D. Vance or President Trump, and that he voted for Joe Biden. On top of giving her classified information about the location of the vice president and where he was going to be. And if you remember, last week, the vice president's personal residence in Ohio was vandalized. Never seen anything like this. This agent in question, who I don't even know how he's an agent, he's not in the physical condition to be a Secret Service agent. And for those of you who say, well, you're not either, Brian. Yeah, but I'm not a Secret Service agent. You know, when I was growing up, we looked at the Secret Service as this elite group of people. They're no longer that. You know, the president was shot in Butler, and then not too long later, they shot at him again at the golf course. And if you remember, at the golf course, a Secret Service agent, after the guy was there for about 12 hours, spotted him and fired 5 rounds at the golf course assassin in Florida and missed 5 times. I wonder where those rounds went. They hit something somewhere, but he missed 5 times. This guy here hates the president. He hates the vice president. You got to wonder how many people, and this guy's on the private detail of the vice president. He was with Biden, too. We just had an incident Sunday evening here in Palm Beach with the president. Remember, I talked about it on Monday's show. There was a device, a suspicious device, they haven't told us what it was, on the route from Mar-a-Lago to the airport. The motorcade took a high-speed rerouting through the city, zigzagging through the city. The press vehicles almost had a collision because they were in this high-speed rerouting through Palm Beach. When the president and the motorcade got to the airport at Palm Beach, Air Force One was moved to another part of the airport for security, and the lights were off, which is very unusual. They turn the lights off when they're flying into, Baghdad, not in and out of Palm Beach International Airport. We had the sniper's nest at the Palm Beach Airport a few months ago with a direct line of sight to Air Force One. Remember this? There have been, the president was shot during the campaign. There have been multiple breaches of security and possible assassination attempts since then. The vice president's home was vandalized. Vice presidents are never the target. And now we have this. And James O'Keefe exposed this. Now, it was reported by James O'Keefe that the agent in question has been suspended. I don't understand why Pam Bondi and Kash Patel haven't arrested him and have him in a holding cell somewhere. Because if he was telling this girl the future locations and other classified information about the vice president, who else has he been telling, right? And James O'Keefe, he's reported a lot. No question in my mind, this is the biggest story since his Acorn story that made him famous. And there's almost a media blackout on it. Very little reporting. And you put this together with the Sunday incident with the suspicious device found on the route to Mar-a-Lago, there's a problem here. And nobody knows about it more than the president and the vice president. They must be freaking out and livid because it's not just their own personal safety, it's their family. And, of course, the vice president has young children as well as his wife. This is alarming. And I got to tell you, it's gotten so bad. And I know the head of the Secret Service is the guy on the stage with the president and Butler. But the Secret Service is not what it ever was, if it ever was what we thought it was. And I think it's time for the Secret Service to be retired from presidential and vice presidential protection duty. They're not up to the task. We have never seen so many breaches in security. Never. There's been other things. There were 2 attempts on President Ford within just a week or 2 of each other, right? Remember back in those days, Squeaky Fromme was one of them. If you look it up, who got way too close. We had Kennedy, we had Reagan and all that stuff. There's been some isolated incidents, but this is becoming almost like a weekly thing. There's been multiple breaches in the second term. There was one I talked about a few months ago. We don't have all the details, but there were planes flying in restricted airspace over Mar-a-Lago, and many of you had the experience I had where they scrambled the fighter jets going supersonic over my house. We've never seen anything like this. And the Secret Service, if they're like this guy, are a bunch of incompetent boobs who hate the president, hate the vice president, on top of being incompetent. And the only proper security we could get right now would be like Delta Force, Green Berets, I don't know who, Navy SEALs, but these guys aren't getting it. And something's got to be done here. Now, if you're on hold, stand by. We'll take our break. My name's Brian. You're listening to Florida's longest running radio show. We'll be back right after this. Okay. Hey, it's Brian.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey there, we have about 45 seconds. I'm going to put you on hold for about 30 seconds. Next time you hear me, we'll be on the air. All right? Stand by.
All right.
All right, we're back. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show, and it's time to check in with Jamie Levac of Swift Tax. Jamie, good morning.
Good morning, Brian. How's everything?
Oh, things are going very well. Well, it's tax season, and I was talking with you about last time we spoke that this is the first tax year that I know about. Okay. Where people are excited to do their taxes because the Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, said people are going to get the biggest returns they've ever gotten before. And you know how to make sure that people get all the deductions the law allows.
This is true. I mean, the biggest tax mistake I see people make is W-2 people missing credits, people using TurboTax, attempting to do their own taxes.
Oh, man, that's the worst.
A lot of times I do get calls on, why my refund is smaller this year than last year.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times it could be, a number of different things. Sometimes it's an error. Sometimes it's the way you filed your taxes, the way you structured everything. The other thing I wanted to say out there is small businesses across the nation really need an accountant.
Mm-hmm.
If you think you could do it yourself, if you think you could download QuickBooks and actually structure everything the way it is supposed to be structured, there's a good chance that you're not doing it correctly. And, coming to an accountant like me, even if you do come to me one good time for small business consulting, really get everything created the right way to maximize your tax savings. And if you feel like you can take it from there, be my guest.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'll tell you this. I wouldn't do that. The biggest mistake I think most people make, you're not calling Jamie Levac at Swift Tax. If you're doing your taxes on your own or with some software, you're probably paying taxes you don't have to pay. And Jamie Levac at Swift Tax is going to make sure that you get all the deductions that you are entitled to. And remember, with the big, beautiful bill, the entire tax code has changed. And another thing, Jamie Levac at Swift Tax, his fees, his rates, what he charges is very, very reasonable. But tax preparation is tax deductible, right, Jamie?
That's the biggest thing. People don't understand
That's right.
that all my fees can be written off.
That's right. They're all tax deductible. Call Jamie Levac at Swift Tax. Remember, Jamie Levac at Swift Tax is located right here in South Florida, but he can help you no matter where you're located in the United States. He can help you with your federal taxes. If you're in a state that has state income taxes, he can help you. Or if you have a local income tax, like in New York City, he can help you. If you're an Uber driver, a DoorDasher, somebody in the gig economy, and you get a 1099, call Jamie Levac at Swift Tax too. You're a small business, and you probably don't even know it.
Don't hesitate to call. It is free to call. It is free to give me a call, set an appointment. talk about your issue, and find a plan and a solution that actually would work for you. Remember, that is completely free.
Exactly. And this number rings directly to Jamie Levac at SwiftTax's cell phone, so you can call or text 954-773-1587. 954-773-1587. 954-773-1587. All right, Jamie Levac at SwiftTax. We'll talk later in the week.
Have a good one, Brian.
All right, take care, take care. So if you're on hold, stand by. You know, this Secret Service agent that was uncovered by James O'Keefe. See, this is what Dan Bongino and Kash Patel have been dealing with. The bureaucracy. These, you know, the bureaucracy of the federal government is a very left-wing activist group of people. And they feel very entitled, more so than you realize, people, more so than you realize. And this story here, why it's not getting more play, I don't know. There's a lot going on in the world, right? We got Iran, we've got Greenland, we've got this, we got Venezuela. I get it. But we have these enemies within, whether it's the state of Minnesota that's in open rebellion against the federal government right now, or the bureaucracy of the federal government that's also in open rebellion against the federal government. All right, back to the phones we go. 888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, it's Brian from Louisiana.
Hey, Louisiana. What's on your mind?
Hey, I don't know if you've seen that on that video where he became a legal United States citizen 18.
I don't know what you're talking about.
On the O'Keefe video?
No, I didn't see where he said he became. He's a U.S. citizen.
Yeah,
He's a federal officer.
Yeah, but he became a legal United States citizen in 2018.
Oh, he's a new citizen? He only became a U.S. citizen in 20?
Yeah, on the video.
Oh, no, I missed that part.
He became a U.S. citizen in 18.
Well,
that's what.
Listen.
Scary.
Nothing against naturalized U.S. citizens, but if you're on a presidential protective detail with the Secret Service, I don't think that's too smart. I mean, how hard would it be for somebody to infiltrate from another country to send somebody over here, become a citizen, and make their way in? That's crazy. And when you're on that detail, you're privy to all kinds of classified information. Now, I got a text message from Al Knight, who's our weekend guy, on True Oldies, and he said, well, the presidential daily schedule is printed and it's public and you can see it. Yeah, but the times are approximate. What this guy was doing was giving exact location data in real time to someone who could have been some CCP or Putin honeypot, like Swalwell with Fang Fang. There's a difference between the daily schedule, which is the president's never. The only time the president was on time was in Butler, coincidentally, right? So no, it's not the same. It's not the same thing. No. Especially with this.
Look who was.
Yeah, go ahead.
Look who was president in 18. Who was president in 18?
Yeah. So. Well, so what does that mean?
Yeah, it's very scary. All right, thank you.
All right, I appreciate the call. This is what you got to understand with the bureaucracy are hardcore leftist, and one of the things that President Trump did with USAID was he was able to clean out a lot of the bureaucracy, right? But it's still there, and they're embedded, and they are filled with hate. All right, now I got some other stories I do want to cover and some things. The president gave a great speech yesterday at the Ford plant where the guy shouted and the middle finger thing happened. But he was talking about the Somalis. Listen.
As we liberate our country from this cultural scourge and the plague of corruption and fraud, we'll rediscover the natural energy and native spirit that truly makes America great again, like we're doing with Detroit and Michigan. If we get rid of fraud and do our job properly on the trillions that are being extorted out of our country from corrupt and incompetent governors like Gavin Newsom, J.B. Pritzker, and Tim Walz, we will very soon have a balanced budget, and that's the kind of money that we're talking about. We're talking about massive amounts of money. Our country wasn't built by people who tried to lie and cheat and scam their way to success. It was built by legends like Henry Ford, Henry Dow, Thomas Edison, the Kellogg brothers, Alfred P. Sloan, the founder of General Motors, men who lifted up American workers and strengthened our nation beyond even belief. And we're doing the same exact thing right now. I think we're doing it even better. This is the fierce spirit of patriotic free enterprise that we're now unleashing once again. We are unleashing it like maybe never before.
Okay. So, you know, what he talked about here is a common thing. Scott Bessent said this week as well that 10% of the U.S. budget is fraud. I'm surprised it's so low. But you hear what this is the first time I've heard the president say this. And we've talked about it, and I know others have talked about this too. The balanced budget's always a big thing. When are we going to pay off the debt? How are we going to balance the budget? How can, you know, and any time there's tax cuts, like with the big, beautiful bill, which is arguably the largest tax cut in history, people got tax cuts that have never gotten tax cuts, right? No tax on tips is an example. In the past, with tax cuts, they changed the brackets. But most tip workers don't pay income tax, only payroll tax. They don't earn enough for income tax, only pay payroll tax. So they always get skipped over for the most part, unless there's a child deduction increase. And here you have President Trump comes along, no tax on tips, and you can deduct the interest on a new car loan if it's an American-made car or a car assembled in the United States. In fact, my wife and I are talking about buying a new car just for that. You know, and that's so people are getting deductions that never got deductions. And every time over the years when Republicans would come in with tax proposals, what would you hear from Democrats? Well, how are you going to pay for those taxes? How are you going to pay for it? We can't afford these tax cuts. We got to pay for this. Well, what President Trump's talking about here is the reason that we have a national debt is not because we're not taxing people enough. There's too much thievery going on and theft from the U.S. Treasury. And I know a lot of people, some are even Republicans, are saying that the president needs to tone down ICE in Minnesota and Minneapolis and start pulling some of them out. That's what they're doing. Don't you understand? This is the Cloward-Piven strategy going on in Minneapolis right now. Remember the Cloward-Piven strategy from these radical lunatics. You know, Obama's Bible, the Cloward-Piven strategy. Overwhelm the system until it collapses, and when the system collapses, we'll get everything we want. That's what's going on. They're overwhelming the system in their mind in Minneapolis to try to get the feds out. Not so much for the deportations that are going on, but to stop the federal investigation of the fraud going on in Minnesota. That's what they're doing. So those out there, including Bill O'Reilly said this this week too, and there have been other big-name conservatives, no, you want to keep increasing the presence. They're trying. We want to overwhelm them so they collapse, not run out of Dodge and surrender. That's what they're trying to do. Reading this message from a listener who went to Life Imaging FLA. Listen to this. Life Imaging FLA saved my life. I went to Life Imaging FLA for peace of mind. I felt fine. I had no symptoms. I didn't think anything would show up. During my scan, Life Imaging FLA found a significant blockage I absolutely had no idea was there. There were no warning signs, no pain, nothing, no symptoms. If I hadn't done this scan, it would have gone undetected until something far more serious happened. Oh my goodness. It's all about preventative health care. They're saving lives every day over at Life Imaging FLA. Life Imaging FLA have locations in Broward, Dade, and Palm Beach County. Call Life Imaging FLA for your free heart scan now with a few minimum requirements, valued at $699. From your cell, call pound 250 and say free heart scan. That's pound 250, just say free heart scan. You'll be connected in seconds. Again, pound 250 from your cell phone. You'll be connected in seconds. We'll be right back. All right, stand by, guys. All right, stand by. Back in a couple minutes. Okay, we got about 90 seconds, and we will be back. If you're new, make sure you subscribe. Okay, just over a minute, and we will be back. I just got a notification on a news story that's I'm going to get right into it when we get back. If you're on hold, stand by. If you want to continue to talk about anything I brought up so far, you're certainly welcome. But I've got some other stories I've got to get to. If I keep going to the phones, I'll never get to all the stories. So I will get to the calls, but just hang in there. We have 30 seconds and we'll be back. I can't believe it's Wednesday already. This week is flying by. All right, stand by. Welcome back. The 8 o'clock hour has begun. My name is Brian Craig. You are listening to Florida's longest-running radio show on the radio since 1977, celebrating 49 years on the radio. Call us on hold. Stand by. I've got a few stories I've got to get to, and if I keep taking the calls, I will not get to them all, and there's some big things I want to cover, and I just got a notification on a news story that I predicted was going to happen a few weeks ago. If you'd like to call in, the number's toll-free, 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. I just got a notification from The Hill. Okay, and by the way, The Hill's a very good political place. Mark Kelly's, this is a news alert from The Hill, just got it 2 minutes ago. Mark Kelly's battle with Pete Hegseth prompts presidential talk. And I told you guys when this controversy first happened, Mark Kelly's running for president, isn't he? And Mark Kelly is a very dangerous man. This Seditious Six video was a CIA deep state somewhat coup event that went on. In fact, I've seen on Fox News and on Newsmax some retired intelligence officials who said this is textbook what you learn in Quantico to undermine the governments of other countries. CIA's been doing this for decades. And they were trying to do it here. The reason out of all of them that it's Mark Kelly, the leader, she's former CIA, and the American people are not going to elect a CIA person again to be the president. We had that with George Bush 41, and I don't think that's going to happen again, especially now. There's so much there was a time when conservatives trusted the CIA and FBI and such, but no more because of everything we've seen them do with Trump with the lawfare, right? I don't need to go through it. You know what they've done and are still doing today. And I told you guys Mark Kelly is running for president. I told you that 2 or 3 weeks ago. And sure enough, it's being reported today. And in his mind, he's electable. Okay, you got to understand, these evil doers, evil people, bad people, they don't think of themselves as bad. They think they're the hero, saving us from this tyranny. And very likely, as his running mate, as crazy as this will sound to you, Mark Kelly's running mate very well could be the mayor of Minneapolis, Jacob Frey, this weirdo, or is it Frey? I just call him the weirdo mayor of Minneapolis. That very well could be his running mate. That guy's running for president too, or maybe vice president. He's certainly using this as an opportunity to elevate himself. Pretty scary stuff. Now, in Iran, things in Iran, these protesters are very brave. We're getting mixed reporting, and there's some reports that are saying 2,000 protesters have been killed. I don't know. We really don't know, because Iran shut the internet down. And while I understand that they're passing out Starlink internet devices to people in Iran, we're not getting any internet out of there to know what's really going on. However, my guess is that the CIA is so embedded in Iran. You know, the CIA led a coup in the 50s to put the Shah in power, and I imagine a lot of our guys never left. We probably have people in the CIA that are in senior positions in the Iranian government. They've been there so long. So the U.S. government, and we've got a good CIA director now, Radcliffe, they know what's going on over there. And President Trump's about to act. And you know, there's no president that we've had in our lifetime that's more anti-war than President Trump. He was opposed not just to the war in Iraq, remember, but he was opposed to the war in Vietnam. And about, 3 or 4 weeks ago, during one of the press conferences on Air Force One, President Trump was talking to the press, and he said something really out of left field that was kind of weird. He was questioning whether or not he was going to be going to heaven. And I think what he was, did you remember that? And I think what President Trump was talking about then is because he's ordering airstrikes where people get killed, and he's afraid because of these military operations that he's going to lose his spot in heaven. You know, and you know he reluctantly uses the military, but now he's doing it in ways to free the world, right? Like in Venezuela, and we're very likely going to have a domino effect in reverse. The domino effect was all the countries are going to go commie back in the day. Now the domino effect is going towards freedom, hopefully so with Cuba next. But Iran, there has never been a time for dissidents in Iran against the Islamic Republic where they've ever had the backing of the President of the United States. This is the only time. Yeah, you know, past presidents, if there was a thing, they'd come out and say, yeah, we support him, but they wouldn't do anything. And President Trump said that if they started killing protesters, that there would be a response. What that response will be, we don't know, but they know Trump means business, not just because he took out their reactor, but because he just removed Maduro from power in Venezuela. So the weaponry that we used in Venezuela was probably the first time that super high-tech modern weaponry had actually been used in a combat situation. And the countries of the world are definitely terrified. But the reason they're probably not listening to Trump is because they know they're about to fall. And the Iranian Ayatollah, the mullahs, they could be saying to themselves, well, what do we got to lose? We're gonna collapse anyway. The protests that we've seen over there, these are the largest demonstrations in Iran since the 1979 Islamic Revolution. Largest. And even though people are being killed in large numbers, according to reports, as many as 2,000, the protesters are still going at it. And because they know that they're never, this might be their last chance in any of their lifetime to have an uprising to remove the Islamic regime, because they have the backing of President Trump. And Iranians have been trying to kill President Trump since he took out Soleimani. There's been multiple attempts. Remember, during the campaign, we were hearing about the death squads. And I've mentioned this to you in the past. I'll tell you again. In Trump's first term, after Soleimani was taken out, there was a big New Year's party at Mar-a-Lago, and I went up to the airport to do a YouTube live stream showing you guys Air Force One, because back in the first term, Air Force One wasn't all blocked off like it is now. If you go to the airport now, you can't see it. They have a wall of school buses. You can't see it. But back then, you could get real close to Air Force One. And I went up there. It was New Year's Day, early in the morning. It was like first light. I mean, it was really New Year's, because I don't stay up on New Year's, you know, and Air Force One was gone. And I'm like, where is it? Well, maybe it's parked. So there's a perimeter road around the airport. I drove the whole perimeter around it was gone. And I've not heard anyone ever report on this, but I saw it. And what I surmise, and I've talked to people about this who agree, that there was a threat from Iran and the president got out on Air Force One and no one knew about it. It was very secret, because if he was at Mar-a-Lago, Air Force One would have to be there for security reasons. We heard about the Iranian death squads in the campaign, and when the golf course incident happened, the first thought was this Iran. There was an incident with the planes flying into restricted airspace recently, I mentioned. First thought that was this Iran. And the Iranians have even, the current Iranian government have even made movies depicting attacking Mar-a-Lago. Okay, this has been talked about. So the Iranian protesters know that not only do they have Donald Trump backing them, he's also got a personal interest in overthrowing the Islamic regime of Iran, because they're out to get him. And they're going to be for the rest of his life if he doesn't get to them first. So it may be their opportunity, their only opportunity, and maybe President Trump's only opportunity to work in combination with the Iranian people to overthrow this evil government that are trying to kill him. So because of that, the timing is perfect. This was a report yesterday. This is Martha McCallum on Fox News.
Dana, good morning. New reports indicate at least 3,000 Iranians have been killed amid anti-government demonstrations. The confirmed number is expected to be much higher. Overnight, thousands of people gathered in the streets of major cities once again, including the capital of Tehran. Further south in the city of Isfahan, Fox News was able to make contact with a man who is using Starlink. He described battles between protesters and security forces who are using live ammunition. On the call, he said the government has really repressed them using weapons of war against the demonstrators. At the moment, the situation for the demonstrators in the street, the atmosphere is like a war zone, and some people are trying to escape from it. He goes on to say, I have to emphasize that among Iranian people, Trump is the most popular person right now. He has so much popularity because of the steps that he took toward preventing the growth of terrorism in the Middle East. They respect him. The internet blackout in Iran continues, making it difficult for people to get new information, although international calls were briefly going through overnight. The Americans, Israelis, and Europeans are watching these demonstrations closely, with German Chancellor weighing in today.
If a regime can only keep itself in power by force, then it's effectively at an end. I believe we are now seeing the final days and weeks of this regime. In any case, it has no legitimacy through elections in the population. The population is now rising up against this regime. I hope there is a possibility to end this conflict peacefully.
Amid the crackdown, there is growing fear among protesters. One man in Tehran messaged me overnight saying, "My days are numbered."
Wow. This is it. And hopefully things go well for the protesters. So Fox News is saying over 3,000 have been killed. Holy smokes. All right. We'll take our first break at the 8 o'clock hour. My name is Brian. This is the Steve Kane Radio Show, Florida's longest running radio show. Back after this.
Hello?
Hey, it's Brian.
Hey, man.
Hey, stand by. We got a little time to... we got a couple minutes till we're back. Hold on one sec.
No problem.
All right.
Right, we are in.
Oh, we're back. I missed the cue, the cue from the board up at the radio station. We're back. I'm Brian. You're listening to Florida's longest running radio show, The Steve Kane Show. On the radio since 1977. On the line, we have Ian from Cruise and Travel Depot. Hey, Ian, good morning.
Hey, good morning. How are you?
Good. Well, our 10th annual MAGA cruise with me and Steve Kane is coming up in March. And, I called Ian up, just checking in yesterday. And, at each of our ports of call, we have 3 of them. We have private shore excursions just for our MAGA listeners. And you were telling me about the one we're having in Puerto Plata, which is in the Dominican Republic. And I said, we got to get you on the show tomorrow to tell everybody about it. This is amazing what we're doing in Puerto Plata.
Absolutely. I mean, we've done something similar to this before when we were in Bonaire in the ABC Islands, but this time we're going to, a 4-star, 5-star resort on the ocean that's got, drinks and pools and amenities, and it's right on the beach, so have some of the most beautiful beaches to swim in, and we're going to spend the day there. And they have great food, and it's just going to be an awesome, awesome time.
Yeah, so this is just in Puerto Plata, by the way. We have excursions at every port of call, which we'll tell you as we finalize the details. And, and the details are not just the activities. Ian negotiates very good prices for us at these things. But this Puerto Plata resort we're going to is not too far from the port. That's one thing, right?
Yeah, no, it's a short bus ride. And, we'll go in a nice coach. It's not like we're going to take that open air bus again, which is also kind of interesting.
That was fun.
That was fun, though. It was fun.
That was fun.
Yeah.
We have adventures. We have adventures. And this beach resort we're going to is at a hotel. Drinks and food are included. And we're going to have wristbands so we can go to any bar in this. We have full access to this luxury hotel on the beach in Puerto Plata. And we can go to any bar and drink as much as we can drink, included.
And that's a lot with this group.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to Puerto Plata in the Dominican Republic, San Juan, Puerto Rico, and I forgot the third destination, Ian.
Tortola, British Virgin Islands.
Okay, British Virgin Islands. And we leave March 22nd?
March 22nd.
I got it. Okay, for a week on the Celebrity Beyond. If you're already booked, call Ian, lock in the excursions. But if you have not made a reservation, there's still some availability on the ship, right?
There is. If someone wants to come, we'll get them on board.
We'll fit you. You don't want to miss this. This is our 10th annual cruise, and we're going to have a great time. Call Ian at Cruise and Travel Depot. Remember, if you get his voicemail, leave a message. He will call you back. 561.
Absolutely.
Yep, 561-244-5779. 561-244-5779. That's 561-244-5779 for Ian at Cruise and Travel Depot. All right, Ian, take care. We'll talk soon.
Take care, Brian. All the best.
All right, take care. Yeah, and guys, join us. You're going to have a great time on this. And the people that come we just have great people that come with us on our cruises. All right, so back to everything that's going on with Iran. And I want to finish up with this before we move on to some other topics, because this is, when I check in with the cable news, there's a lot of Iran coverage, and the people in the news, they get a feeling what's going on. And if you notice, they have more and more people in the region. So, if you're going by that, on top of what Iran's doing and what President Trump has said, action against Iran is imminent. So the question is it the right thing to do? I say yes. The Islamic terrorism around the world that's been going on the last 40 years, most of it has been coming from Iran, because Iran, these groups like Hezbollah and Hamas, they're all front groups for Iran. That's why President Trump took out Soleimani, the Iranian general. So they have been organizing, training, and funding, with exceptions, but they have been organizing, training, and funding the vast majority of the Islamic terrorism around the world. And all these things that, like, as an example, the attack on Israel at the music festival, that was an Iran-backed organization too. The war in Gaza, all Iranians you're dealing with, Iran backage with all of this stuff. And President Trump, it started with the Abraham Accords in the first term, and the Abraham Accords is a bigger deal than people realize, because I don't think a lot of people that oppose Israel realize what that be. These Islamic countries, when they signed on to the Abraham Accords, for the very first time, they acknowledged Israel as a country. They didn't recognize Israel, not their right to exist. They didn't recognize it as a country. So they recognized Israel as a country. That was in the first term. And then when President Trump went to Israel and then to Cairo to sign the agreements to end the Israeli-Gaza war, you notice how he's made friends, right? And the United States, we have friendships with countries that you never would have thought possible before. Syria? Come on. And these countries in the Middle East, they want these endless wars to end. And the reason that they've been, it's never going to be 100% peaceful. There's too many fanatics over there. But with the Islamic Republic of Iran there's always going to be a break in a war, and then another one's going to break out. And then it'll stop. Then there'll be another war another year. To end the endless wars, the Islamic Republic of Iran has to be taken down. And this is the time. And when President Trump made this allegiance in friendships with these Middle Eastern countries, that was something that nobody ever thought possible. And with our control of Venezuela, it's almost like we're an OPEC nation now, because Venezuela is an OPEC nation. All right, let's take some calls. You're welcome to call in about anything we brought up so far today. The number's toll-free, 888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Scott. I'm calling from Kansas City.
Hey, Scott. What's up?
Well, I'm just thinking, I'm looking back at models of past revolutions, and the only one I can see that can help the Iranian people win over this regime is to redo what they did when they took Mossadegh out and replaced him with the Shah, which was the army. Just like the army in Romania took out Ceausescu.
Yeah.
That's what it's going to take.
Yeah.
Because they had a peaceful march in the street demonstration back in 2009. Well, that ain't going to do anything. Mm-hmm. And now people are just getting killed, and they're all unarmed.
Well, who's going to be in charge after? I don't know. I know there's the current Shah. I've seen him on Fox a few times, and he left with his dad in '79. I don't know if it'll be him. I don't know, but the way President Trump handled Venezuela was very different than people expected. Right? We left the vice president in charge down there, and if you notice. I know there was some gang activity and some things going on, but there really hasn't been too much chaos in Venezuela, because when he took Maduro out, leaving the vice president who became the president in with the administration underneath, it's kept things stable.
Yeah.
So
I haven't been too much up on that, but because I'm busy, and I just wondered what's going on there now.
It shows it. Well, not a lot, because it's not in the news, because it hasn't fallen apart. So my guess would be they'll do something similar in Iran, right? You take out when you there was a lot of controversy leaving this vice president in, letting her become the president of Venezuela, because people said, wait a minute, if Maduro is not legitimate, how is she legitimate? And I was
the old boss, same as the new boss.
Well, it's not, because they're doing what we want. Everything that President Trump asks of them, they do it, or they'll be out too. So if you keep one of the reasons Iraq fell apart when it happened is, Cheney and them wanted it to fall apart to prolong the war. But the reason Iraq fell apart is because they took out the entire bureaucracy of government. And President Trump left that in place in Venezuela, so there hasn't been chaos. My guess is it'd be something similar in Iran. And I just wonder if that's his plan, like they did in Venezuela, what type of military action are they going to take? Are they going to be able to get the Shah out, like they did Maduro? I don't know. I have an idea that the Iranians are a little better equipped than the Venezuelans were.
Yeah, well, they know where everything is, and they know how to handle the crowd. And if they can do what now in Romania, the army came in and basically wiped out Ceausescu's mafia. They killed Ceausescu a couple of days later after the uprising.
Yeah, was he the one that they did the public hanging of him in the? I think they did kind of like a Mussolini thing, if I remember.
I think they shot him.
Yeah,
and his wife.
Yeah, and then they put them on display in the street.
Yeah, they put them on display
like Mussolini. Yeah,
mm-hmm. Like Mussolini.
Yeah, I remember that.
And his mistress.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I think that's how they're going to have to do this: is get into the army and.
That's right. Well, listen, we're coming up on the bottom of the hour. I got a break. Thanks for the call. The rest of you on hold, stand by. Our number is 888-465-2631. We'll be right back. Right. I'm just queuing some things up for when we get back. All right, stand by. Back in just over a minute. If you're on hold, hang in there. I got a few more things I want to cover. This has been one of the biggest news days. There's just so many stories, right? The thing at the Ford plant, Greenland, Iran, the J.D. Vance story. 30 seconds. If you're on hold, don't go anywhere. I'll get to the calls in a bit. All right, we're back. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. Sadly, Scott Adams passed away yesterday. And Scott Adams, the creator of Dilbert, as people always say, I followed him for a long time on his videos that he used to put on. And I remember I did not know Scott Adams, but we knew of each other because we used to both do live streams on Periscope. You guys remember Periscope? It was done by Twitter. It doesn't exist anymore. And Scott Adams and I both did shows on Periscope live, like we're doing now. And he came on right as I ended every day for a long time. And then we both left Periscope and moved on to other things. But I did not know him. I never talked to him or anything like that. You know, I love when all these famous people pass away, all these people claim to have been their friend, and no, I didn't know. We knew of each other, but we didn't know each other or never had a conversation. But anyway, I was talking yesterday about Scott Adams, about how he accepted Christ right before he died, which was great. We didn't know he was dead yet, and, you know, he was on yesterday's show. But some of the coverage I've seen of him by the left since he passed away is really sick. In particular, People magazine. And I did not even know People magazine was still a thing. And this was their headline: Scott Adams, disgraced Dilbert creator, dies at 68. Disgraced? You know, remember a few weeks ago, he was in the hospital and he was in a bad state and he couldn't get the hospital to help him. And he put out a call on social media for the president to intervene and help him, and President Trump did. And they call him disgraced in People. And for those of you out there who on the left, they thought it was how dare President Trump say something negative about Rob Reiner, who we found some interesting things out that we did not know he was working with Comey in his life. They were so disgusted by what President Trump said about Rob Reiner. Well, look what they did with Charlie Kirk. Look what they're saying now about Scott Adams. Although Scott Adams was not as well known as Rob Reiner or Charlie Kirk, or even as Dilbert himself, he's a pretty well-known conservative voice, and he paid a big price for being conservative. And when they talked about being disgraced, one of the things he talked about that they consider to be a disgrace was this. He was talking about that Unite the Right rally in 2017. Adams suggested the 2017 Unite the Right rally was an American intel op against Trump. Remember that in Charlottesville? And he was 100% correct about that. Remember, there were witnesses that were interviewed by media back then. It's been a while, I can't believe Charlottesville was 2017. And there were witnesses who were interviewed by the media at the time. And they saw the charter buses come in that had the white supremacist on them. And then they saw the buses that had the Black Lives Matter protesters on them. And what the witnesses told the media at the time, after the Charlottesville incident, is that the Black Lives Matter and the white supremacists, they came on different buses, but it was the same charter bus company. Isn't that something? And that was out there right after the event. It was the week of the event, like a couple of days after that was being reported. And then boom. And, you know, when these stories happen, what you get in the early days is usually closer to the truth before the propagandists get in. And I thought, wow, that's amazing. And one of the things that I pointed out is, now I'm not saying that all the white supremacists there were fake, but you when the white supremacists that are fake come out and have an event, some real ones will show up too, okay? But one of the things that I pointed out to people with the Charlottesville footage when it first happened is if you look at some of the flags that they had, you could see the creases, that they were brand new flags. There were real racists there, don't get me wrong. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying. But not all of it, including the organizer. The organizer of the white supremacist was an Occupy Wall Street person, which was a left-wing op. So how did he go from being with the left wing Occupy Wall Street to that? So there were some things about it. And even Scott Adams never said it was all fake, but there was a mixture of what was going on there. And the reason that People magazine are calling Scott Adams the disgraced Dilbert creator is because he became a Trump supporter. And they'll hide behind these different things, right? Like Charlottesville or some other things, and say that's why. But no, it's because he came out and supported President Trump that they said that he's disgraced. And shame on them. Now, for those who say, well, wait a minute, President Trump was trashing Rob Reiner. Well, what we found out about Rob Reiner that I did not know until after his death, I played the video clips on the program. He did this sit-down interview that he directed and hosted with Brennan and Clapper. Remember that? And President Trump knew what I did not know, and I don't think many people knew. Rob Reiner, we would see Rob Reiner on television all of the time, trashing Trump. But what I did not know, that you did not know, but President Trump certainly knew, is that Rob Reiner was in with Brennan, Clapper, and Comey, who were the whole lawfare coup organizers, and he was with them from the very beginning. So Rob Reiner, what we come to learn is that Rob Reiner was the director of the entire lawfare movement against President Trump. That's right. He was the director of all of it, run by Comey and Brennan and others. But he was like their media person, and he was a very highly skilled director. We all grew up with Rob Reiner, come on, I like Misery. Stand By Me is okay. It's not my generation. All in the Family. I saw it in reruns. But he was working with those guys, and so if someone who's out to destroy you for 10 years and your family, you don't have a lot of sympathy. Scott Adams, they just say he's disgraced because he just became MAGA. So shame on them. All right. Okay, we got some time before the Gold Report. Let's take a couple of calls. 888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air. Once. Twice. Yeah, you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? All right, you missed your chance. Sorry. If you're on hold, hang in there. We'll take some more calls after the Gold Report. On social media, people are starting to take photographs and make videos of getting gas. I saw yesterday at a Texaco in Texas, regular unleaded, $1.69 a gallon. Going viral on the internet. People, I posted this on my X too, Brian Craig Show on X. If you don't follow me already, follow me there. $1.69 a gallon. Now, it's not that in Florida yet, but it's so, I go and fill up my car these days, and I see the price, and I'm like, is it full? Because it's so low. It's costing me under $30 to fill up my wife's car. And I always wait until the car's on E. Gas prices are dropping. Most everything is dropping, and the inflation's been stopped. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian, it's JJ from Mass.
Hey, JJ. What's up?
Well, a couple of quick things, this Dot from Texas, I thought it was Doc.
Doc?
I guess we'll find that out.
Doc?
I thought it was Doc, but yeah, that's
Maybe.
what I thought I heard.
That makes more sense.
And also I think Mark Kelly running is just sort of a delay tactic. While he's running for president, the old DOJ guidelines. That's all.
I don't get this. Okay, we're coming up on the month since at some point his active duty is going to start, because when it first went down, they said it was 30 days. We got to be close to that. And I'm watching the media coverage yesterday on Mark Kelly, and they're like, oh, they can't do this. I saw Judge Napolitano giving analysis on Newsmax yesterday, and they're like, oh, they can't activate him. He's in the Senate. President Trump was president of the United States. They were, and look what they did to him. And even a former president is a higher rank than a sitting senator. I'm sorry.
The the old they can't do that tactic doesn't work in Judge. The Democrats did everything. So, for me, everything's on the table.
Correct.
And, I think also another thing with regard to the entirety of our federal government, it's good to see the curtain comes down and people need to realize, and I'm talking about the Secret Service agent, that we have a lot of really messed up people that are working within our federal government. And it makes it extremely difficult to get a lot of things done, but we are just winning everywhere. But one of the main things I wanted to talk today, Brian, was, obviously probably quickly here, was Iran and Venezuela. To me, these are basically two peas in a pod, in that, Venezuela was basically the south of this hemisphere, the South American, basically an outpost for killers, crime, terror, and death. And it's the same thing in Iran. And I believe it's going to be, and I think the government, there was a little talk about down in Venezuela, that this woman is, you can't take out all the bad people. You got to leave the top dog on a leash. I mean, this is an or else government. You either or else, we'll
well,
do it
that's
again type of
why,
stuff.
that's why these other things, I give you an example. During the Muslim Spring, when Obama took out Gaddafi and all of his underlings, everything fell apart in Libya. That's when we had Benghazi. And the way President Trump, if any other president did what they did in Venezuela, the whole country would have fallen apart. It's amazing that the country has remained stable.
Yeah, but Obama, those guys, they did that stuff they did it on purpose. I think they know that. But Trump knows. Listen, you got to leave the top dog on a leash in charge to control the other dogs, because we don't want to have to put, we're not going to put, this is the New Testament opposed to the Old Testament of politics. When Christ came, things didn't change immediately. It took a long time. Trump, and I am making that comparison because the old government is, people are starting to figure out that more of the government is like that Secret Service agent than they truly believe. And it's very difficult to put yourself in those shoes, in that frame of mind, to understand how corrupt our federal government is, because we like to believe we're a Christian nation. We like, love thy neighbor, and that they use that against us.
The Secret Service agent with I'm running up against the break, so I gotta be short here. But this Secret Service agent, I don't know why he's not in custody. What the information he was revealing to some person he was trying to hook up with from Tinder or whatever is got to be classified. Especially after the vandalism of the vice president's personal residence in Ohio.
The thing about the system, Brian, is this: these guys have been doing this for 52. They've been doing it for many decades, and they have set this system up to protect the system, to protect themselves in such a way with all the different prosecutors. That Secret Service agent. Now you got to figure. The guy that's going to prosecute is just like that. The judge is just like that. They're all, they're all a little bit they're wokies.
If you look at the Secret Service agent, this guy knows he's lucky to be. He's not in shape. He couldn't chase down somebody if they're running. If he was on that detail where they had to run next to the moving car, he wouldn't be able to do it. He's overweight and out of shape. Yeah. I couldn't believe he was Secret Service. So you get someone like that who's so lucky to be on the inside and where they are, they'll do anything to hold on to it.
Well,
He's
the main point
perfect
here for
recruit.
me, too, is just knowing all that about our own government, but understanding that American first is Iran and Venezuela, both falling, because peace on earth is American first.
Listen, I got to run. I'm late for the gold report, but I appreciate the call. All right, if you're on hold, don't go anywhere. It's a Steve Kane Show. I'm Brian. Back after this.
Good morning.
Hey there. I'll put you on hold. I'll be right back with you. Stand by.
Okay.
All right, William, 20 seconds.
Okay.
All right, we're back. I'm Brian. It's time to check in with William Youngerman from the offices of William Youngerman Incorporated in Boca with the Morning Gold and Precious Metals Report. William Youngerman, how the metals look today?
Oh, very exciting, very exciting. The metals are making all new highs. Gold and metals yesterday pulled back a little bit, but silver, the big gainer throughout the week. Gold yesterday trading in a range of $4,570 all the way up to $4,635, closing out today at $4,585.30, which was down $12.40. Silver was up $1.67, closing out today at $86.81, but wait till you hear what it's doing this morning. Platinum was up $13 yesterday, closing out today at $23.33, and palladium was down $23 at $1,817. Gold this morning up $50.70 at $4,636 the ounce. Silver, $91.80 the ounce, up $4.98, Brian.
Oh, my goodness.
$91.80 an ounce for silver. Another all-time record high for the metal. Platinum up $70 at $2,403, and palladium up $9 at $1,826. So the markets are doing very strong, as are all the rest of the commodities. Pretty much, commodities are moving much higher.
Wow, I'm thinking about how much all those 90% silver quarters and half dollars are worth today. I mean, that's crazy. When it comes to silver, what are some of the best products you're recommending people buy right now?
Pretty much everything is in our inventory is priced at normal, really reasonable premiums. So that's a good thing. A lot of the dealers around the nation are totally out of silver, so we are blessed to have a good inventory still, and of course supplying only our customers, our regular customers. So
you hear that, guys? So give William Youngerman a call, and no matter where you're located, if you can't make it to his location in Boca, you can do your transactions over the phone and through the mail. William Youngerman opens up at 10 a.m. He's located in Boca Raton at 150 East Palmetto Park Road in Boca, on the first floor of the Bank of America building, immediately east of US 1 Federal Highway on the south side of Palmetto. You can give him a call toll-free, 1-800-327-5010, 1-800-327-5010. And online, WilliamYoungerman.com. All right, William, we'll talk tomorrow.
Okay, have a great day. Thank you.
All right, take care. Oh, man, things are going well with the metals. I was just looking during the break at the Drudge Report. Don't you guys miss when the Drudge Report was, good? It's really amazing because the Drudge Report came about because the mainstream media wasn't covering things and was so biased. And the first story that made the Drudge Report famous, of course, was that the President of the United States was having an affair with a 25-year-old intern, Monica Lewinsky, who's injected herself back in the news. I saw an interview with Lewinsky yesterday, and she said that Monica Lewinsky, I've always thought that she's still in love with Bill Clinton. And she gave an interview I read yesterday, and Monica Lewinsky said that she hasn't spoken or seen the president since the good old days. And I almost felt like it was a shout out for Bill to give her a call. I really did. If I found out that Bill and Monica were together as a couple, I told you so. Wouldn't you guys? It seems that way to me. And just to give you the quick version of that for the people that don't remember those days, Newsweek magazine had broken the story. And the Clintons found out about it and got the editors of Newsweek to not run the Lewinsky story. And the writers at Newsweek were ticked off, and they gave the story to Matt Drudge, and he put it in the Drudge Report, and the Drudge Report became famous. Prior to that, the Drudge Reports, remember, Matt Drudge worked at the gift shop at CBS Studio City in Hollywood, California, where they filmed The Price is Right. And the biggest story he had prior to that was that the cast of Seinfeld was getting $1 million an episode or something. So it was and it made him famous. And then we had this great run where he was the only place that was going up against. And then at some point years ago, something happened to the Drudge Report. Nobody really knows. Some people think it was bought, or nobody really knows. But it's become so mainstream. It's used. I used to go to the Drudge Report multiple times every day. It was always updated. It was the only place you could go to. Now I go to the Drudge Report once a month, maybe even less. And it's because it's garbage now. But I went to the Drudge Report during the break, and you got to go through everything to know what's going on in the news. And here's the headline: Shock video, ICE terrorizes another woman. So, and I saw this video, and I'm sure you've seen it too. It's all over the internet. It's on television. You got another woman who's resisting ICE. This time, they grabbed her. They opened up the door and ripped her out of the car. Okay, and if you want, people are always refusing to get out of the car for law enforcement. It's crazy to me. And I watch videos of this all the time. I saw one video in the last week online. There's a woman Army colonel who got pulled over in a DUI, and she wouldn't get out of her car. And they came and they broke the glass. They pulled her out of the car and arrested her. I see this all the time. The idea that when you're pulled over, you can speed off or not get out of your car. I don't know where they get this idea from, that you're allowed to do that. And when you do that, you're escalating. When you're on the street at a traffic stop, whether it's ICE or your local cops, you're not in a courtroom and you're not a lawyer and you're not arguing your case. You get the court appearance. You do that. And so here's the first one. Shock video, ICE terrorizes another woman. The second line, more mayhem in Minneapolis. Rogan blast Gestapo. Native Americans arrested. And then agent offers cash for names. All negative. And this is what I was talking about. We'll end on this today. This is what I was talking about earlier in the program. Okay? Everything the liberals have in their arsenal is in Minneapolis right now. And this fraud operation has Tim Walz terrified. These articles of impeachment that they're bringing up in the state house against him, he dropped out of the race. You see him, I was talking about him last week. He doesn't look well. He's lost a lot of weight. He's not sleeping. He's in a panic. The Democrats have all their activists from every group, and a lot of them are coming on their own, pouring into Minneapolis, trying to run the ICE agents out. And I've been watching some of the videos with the ICE agents in these parking lots, and they're really pushing buttons, trying to create confrontations constantly out there in Minneapolis. And these agents are very well trained on how to handle these confrontations for the most part. And this woman, the woman wasn't terrorized. She was another person resisting. Now, I want to talk about Coastal Weight Loss Secret. And I want to highlight this because sometimes people ask me about keeping the weight off, and keeping the weight off with Coastal Weight Loss Secret is as easy as it was to lose the weight, because with Coastal Weight Loss Secret, there's no big changes. I ate food I would normally eat. I didn't starve myself. There's no pills. There's no injections. And I didn't do any exercise. And I still lost about a pound a day. Now, if I would have exercised, I would have lost weight faster, but about a pound a day was fine with me, and I wouldn't have been able to maintain the exercise. If I had added exercise to it, I wouldn't have been able to do it, because I'm not going to exercise now that I've lost the weight. So I had no lifestyle changes to lose the weight. So in the maintain phase, it's easy. It's without effort. Call Coastal Weight Loss Secret no matter where you are. Schedule your no consultation. By the way, I lost over 35 pounds, but if you're looking to lose 135 pounds or 255 pounds or even more, they can help you. 561-247-6300. 561-247-6300 and online, coastalweightlossecret.com. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hello?
You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Yes.
Hello?
Yes. You're on the air.
Saying?
Yes, you're on the air. Oh, my goodness. Yes. Oh, boy. I tell you, we started out You know, this is we started out today for the first half of the show with like top tier award-winning level callers. Boom, 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 boom. And then in the second half, it's gone down the tubes. I guess we peaked too early today on the phones. But if you're on hold, we'll be back tomorrow because I don't really have much more time to take calls. And with the quality of the second half of the show, I don't want to end on a note like that. But we'll end with this. Everything that's going on in the news right now is 100% positive for us to win the midterms and with gains in the houses. Just remember, this midterm is ours to lose. It's all about turnout. So you got to make sure that you turn out, get your friends to come, and do what we did in the presidential election, and that is swamp them in at the polls. If you swamp them at the polls, we're going to win and we're going to gain seats. Because everything you see the Democrats do right now is acts of total desperation, like what we found out about the No Kings March earlier in the program. They have very few people left. They're doing things that are so counterproductive. In the beginning of this second and non-consecutive term, they were taking the wrong side on 80-20 issues. Now they're taking the wrong side on 99-1 issues, right? Even 99.9 to 0.1 issues. And they're not going to stop because they're caged animals that are just desperate. All right, you're listening to The Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show, on the radio since 1977. My name is Brian Craig. We'll be back tomorrow at 6 a.m. Those of you on hold, stand by. We'll be back at 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. And if you stay on hold, you'll be first online to get on the air on tomorrow's show. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. I can't believe it is Wednesday already. The week is flying by. You know why it's flying by? It's all this winning, right? The only thing I'll disagree with the president on, I'll never get tired of winning. See you tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. Take care. All right, we're clear. Well, listen, guys, thanks for watching. If you're new, make sure you subscribe. And everyone who's already subbed, please do me the favor of liking the video and taking the link and sharing on your socials, if you don't mind, all right? My name's Brian. This is where MAGA comes to talk. I'll talk to you next time. Take care.